What's good? What's good? What's good? My nobody community, bro. Let me just turn off the. So I understand why. I looked at my stream, my last stream, and it was a bit echoey. And the reason why is because for my microphone, I have a setting where like I can play with the echo, so I can make shit echo. So when I was watching the episodes, I had a little bit of an echo. So if you actually listen closely, you would hear like a bit of echo into it. But I did some verifications, and yeah, now there's no more echo for now. So basically, on my microphone, I have a headphone setting. I have a um, headphone setting, a mic sounding setting, like here, like a microphone sounding setting, and then I have and then I have the echo setting. And I guess when I was watching Interstellar Rangers commence, I guess I had the mic. Hold on, let me just turn it up right here. Let me just turn it up. Let me turn it up. Sorry. I guess when I had the microphone setting, where I had the echo thing on. I guess when I was watching it was when I was watching the episodes. The echo there was a bit of echo, a bit of echo that I put on the mic. So yeah, now I hear it echo. So when I put up to the max, this is what I sound like. It's weird, it's a bit weird. You hear the echo type shit. So let me just turn it down, and there, no echo. So I do have a couple of videos I do want to watch. One by Ruin Leon. Um, where is it? It's not here. There's one of Ruin Leon. What's this? Oh, it's soccer. Um, yeah, there's one. I want to watch one with Ruined Leon, and then I do want to watch the Tyranny of Show Don't Tell, and then Don Stanley. Maybe you can watch that. But the main appeal is definitely let's see here. Okay, so basically, let me just go on the video because I'll talk about the context of the video. Okay, let me just turn off my ad blocker. Okay, so I think obviously this is the first video we're gonna watch. Basically, this is basically LeBron. He, hold on, let me just skip this fucking ad. Can you mute it? Cause I do want to talk
We
about.
have got to the point where literally anybody can build a
Boy,
fully
shut up!
working app.
I don't want to hear you. So basically, if you guys don't know the context is pretty simple. Well, no, I mean it is pretty simple. Basically, LeBron was talking. Can I pause the video?
All yesterday, I was scrolling and seeing nothing but posts
Okay, thank you. So basically, for the context, in case anyone missed it, um,
after post after post about LeBron James and apparently
okay, I'll bring the context up, Leon. Thank you. I appreciate your help, but I'll talk about the context. Okay, so I'm gonna do this while I'm talking about the context. So essentially,
how anti-black and
yeah, so basically the context was basically LeBron was talking about cities that he doesn't like going to play basketball or just to play the NBA. So the two cities that he named was Milwaukee and Memphis, right? And obviously there were people, particularly in the black community, that didn't like what LeBron's comments were because LeBron basically said that he wanted the Grizzlies to go to Nashville because Nashville is much more, it's a much more it's a much more of a popular city and a much more economically and a more economically rich city because Nashville has its own hockey team. It has NASCAR, and it has better you know stuff than Memphis. So essentially, LeBron is playing golf with a couple of people who were conveniently white people. Like, it's a coincidence. They're white people, and LeBron was basically talking about the cities that he didn't want to play at, and he talked Milwaukee, and he talked about Memphis. So he came up with his proposition that he wanted to that not proposition, but he wanted to it was basically wishful thinking that he wanted Memphis, well, the Grizzlies, the Grizzlies franchise to go to Nashville, because Nashville is much has much more of an economic opportunity than something like Memphis, right? And not only that, the hotels are better and stuff like that. But yeah, so basically, a bunch of black people are mad at LeBron because Memphis as is it's a demographically it's mostly a a black city, and because of that, LeBron is catching a lot of flack. Stephen A. I don't know why Stephen A's fucking talking. He's talking out. He's just talking about both sides out of his mouth. He talked about Memphis and negatively before, but I don't see what's the problem because LeBron's not the only NBA player to talk about Memphis in a negative light. Draymond Green has, Draymond Green, Danny Green, um, Anthony Edwards. These are other players that talked about Memphis in a negative light. So it's just that obviously LeBron's LeBron. LeBron's like one of the most famous players, like one of the most famous players in the NBA. So when he talked about Memphis in a negative way, it affected basically black people. So basically this is Ruin Leon. He's gonna talk about it. He's gonna talk about basically how it's so evil, air quotes evil, but it's evil to talk about uh to talk negatively about a city that just coincidentally has a lot of black people in it. So without further ado, let's get into it. Shout out to Rune Leon, and let's do this shit, bro.
Detrimental he is to the black community. All yesterday, I was scrolling and seeing nothing but post after post after post about LeBron James and apparently how anti black and detrimental he is to the black community all of a sudden because a video has gone viral of him talking down on Memphis.
At 41 years old, you think I'm gonna do that? Being in Memphis on a fucking random ass Thursday. I'm not like the first guy to even talk about it in the NBA. Like we all like.
Facts. She's not the first person to talk about Memphis like that, though. A bunch of players talk about Memphis in a negative manner, but yet again, he caught his flack because it's most viral.
You guys have to move. Just go over to Nashville. You got Vanderbilt over there. You got the fucking NASCAR. You got a stadium. Don't they got a hockey team too?
Yeah, Predators.
Predators, yeah.
Like they got everything.
Doesn't look like LeBron's going to be on the Grizzlies anytime soon, so Grizzly fans out there.
Yeah, they know. Their only chance was in 2003 if they'd have won the lottery. Give me that. And I might have pulled a Eli Manning and not showed up for the games.
And when I watch that, I'm thinking, oh, that's a guy who has a lot to say about a place he doesn't really want to be at. Not really anything too different than anyone else who talks about places that they've been and how they don't like them and how they don't really want to be there. Oh, that's not really too much of a big deal. And the reason...
Yeah, it's not. It's not. Literally, it's just a what? I guess a guy can't have an opinion on a city he been to before. He's been there for basically 20 few years, and people are bitching and complaining that ah LeBron's racist because he doesn't like Memphis. Don't forget he also said he didn't like Milwaukee because he responded to the backlash. He was like okay. He pretty much didn't care. Like he said, he also talked about Milwaukee. He also talked about He also said he didn't really like going back home, aka Akron. So it's like, yeah. So it's like, so yeah. People just they're just blowing out of proportion because like he didn't even talk about like the like people in Memphis. He just talked about how the city as a whole and how bad it is and stuff like that. And the reason why he said go to Nashville because Nashville is much more of a big opportunity for the team. Like you have so many like sports events going there. That'd be much more eventful city. Something like Memphis.
And I have that thought process is because unlike a lot of people who want to commit to the bit of pretending as if words don't matter to them, I don't really hold too much stock into what celebrities, millionaires, or billionaires have to say because the world is crumbling around them and inside their nice little bubble, they have everything laid out for them at their beck and call. They're not living the average life of the American citizen. They're not really too hurt by the price of gas continuously going up. They're fine. A lot of us are not. So when I'm seeing all these takes being burped out about anti-blackness and how the black community really has no leaders and all the yada, 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 one take reigns supreme in my mind. And it's the, how could you say this with white people?
Black person to black person. You might talk shit about us, but they say we don't stand it and doing it with the whites, bro. Detroit, Memphis, Jackson, Atlanta, Baltimore, and a few other cities are black hat cities. You should always defend them. They should always be defended from white attacks. All they do is talk about a city, bro. Like, oh my goodness, man. Yeah, like they come into trying and freaking carpet bombing a city. They're just talking about a city. You're getting so offended, bro. Offended, man.
Because apparently it matters more if you talk shit about a city that's mainly black with white people present than if it's just a bunch of black people. Apparently that means something because of white supremacy and how the whites will go back in their Klan rallies and talk about their nice plan of how to eradicate all the black people of Memphis. And the person who had this take that was the loudest was
Stephen
A. Smith.
A bunch of white dudes.
Again, and again, he's talking out of his ass because he talked about Memphis in a podcast, and he talked about Memphis in not so good light. So again, he's being a hypocrite. He's just doing it. He's just doing it to freaking basically defend his Disney. I'm pretty sure they're owned by Disney. His fucking Disney owners, bro. That's why he's doing it.
On a golf course, knowing the cameras are rolling and videoing you, without any regard for what kind of effect that would have on a black populace is problematic. Especially when I don't know if it was your sneakers or whatever it was that you just finished promoting months ago about black history and Martin Luther King and civil rights. I think you wore sneakers or something commemorating all of that. When I spoke about what this city needs in order to look out for the vast majority of its citizens who happen to be black that are living there. I did it right here on the mic and the cameras, with the cameras rolling. Dead serious as hell. Because I ain't trying to let nobody off the hook on that. I wasn't dressed in shorts, lollygagging on a golf course with a bunch of peeps that don't look anything like the folks that reside in Memphis. That's
I guess no. I guess white people don't live in Memphis. I guess. I guess white people don't live in Memphis. Yeah, sure, buddy.
it was foul. That was my take on it earlier this morning. That is still my take on it today. LeBron wasn't all wrong. LeBron said some very wise and on-point things about that. But other stuff was foul, particularly how flippant he was in saying it without any regard of sensitivity.
Because it's just a fucking city. It's just a city. Just that the city is shitty. Like, come on, bro.
To black folks in Memphis. Especially when he's got his I Promise school in
Is that my computer that's acting up like that?
Memphis. Especially when he's
Okay,
got
no, like it's not. It's okay. It's the video. Because I don't know if it's me or it was the video, but it's like flashing a bit. I don't know. I don't know what's going on my freaking computer.
his I Promise school in Akron, Ohio.
Yeah, it's the
designed
video.
to help
Okay.
uplift and improve the lives
For my computer, I'm like, oh shit.
of black individuals and beyond from impoverished neighborhoods in that area. He he clearly has sensitivity to those folks from his hometown.
Of course.
One would like to believe he has the same level of sensitivity to those folks everywhere.
I mean, those folks from his hometown. Like, there's a difference. You care more about your people in your hometown than people in not than the other people.
And I'm sure he does. It just didn't look like that on the golf course.
Who cares? Don't forget, LeBron was the same guy that was kneeling in like back in 2020, like George Floyd and all that shit, supporting BLM. Like he don't forget he participated in that. But nah, he did one thing that you guys don't like, and all of a sudden you guys are bitching, bro. Like, come on, bro. Yeah, he's talking about. He was fucking criticizing the people in Memphis. No, he's criticizing the fucking city as a whole. How it's a dump.
With a bunch of white boys surrounding him. Optics matter. Appearances matter. And words coming out of LeBron James' mouth about such a sensitive subject required a little bit more seriousness.
Stephen A. When Draymond Green talked about Memphis, were you on his case? When Anthony Edwards talked about Memphis, when you're on his case? No, the reason why you're talking about it now because LeBron thing actually went viral. So you're just trying to get some clicks and views, bro. You ain't slick, Stephen A. You ain't slick, bro. You acting like LeBron's the only person to talk about Memphis in a negative light, man. I'll shoot up a video right now of people talking about Memphis. Let me see here. NBA players talking. Let me see. So this,
Told the truth. I mean, Memphis is cool for certain people, but like for others, like it ain't. Everywhere a little dangerous.
on.
Do you like talk trash out on the court?
Not really.
Let me see here.
Here. If you're watching this video and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to go hit that subscribe button to stay tapped in with Road Trippin' all season long. You don't want to miss what we have in store. So subscribe.
Let me see get you.
Tell a friend to tell a friend. Road Trippin' is here. We're taking over.
Stop blaming us for what Kirk says.
Anthony Edwards sat down with Caleb Presley for a Sunday conversation and said so many words that none of us said. He recalled showing up to his room in Memphis and seeing stains and shit on the bed. That's a quote. I actually did. I did watch this.
It was hilarious.
It was hilarious, right?
Yeah.
So we want to know, one, okay, what did you take away from that?
Yeah. So and again, it's like LeBron's not the first person to talk shit about Memphis, bro. Look, let's go here. It's a compilation. We're gonna watch this real quickly. From Reddit NBA. We're gonna watch this real quickly. It's not available anymore? Let me see here. Let's see here. Yeah, let me see here. Let's go on this. Let's go on, man. Let's go on this escape here. Let's see here. Where is it? Yeah, James is the far from the first input or person to express discontent with Memphis lodging and safety. Anthony Edwards, Draymond Green, and Stephen A. Smith. So this man, and it's true. Let me go on a video. I have a video, man. I have a video that I have right now. Cause he talks about Memphis. Where is it? Where is it? Cause he has the videos of he has the videos. Let me see. Where is it? Cause he got the videos, bro. What is this Stephen A. bullshit? There it is. Go here, right here.
It's like a do not disturb setting for your mind, and it gets you focused in just 5 minutes using science and sound. Brain FM guides your
To be on
brainwave.
that debate stage and still be able to go back to work.
Please.
I'll be there. I'm telling you, I'll be black individuals beyond from impoverished hoods in that area.
It's like a do not disturb
Oh
setting.
my god, bro! I'm trying to show you guys evidence, bro. Let me just give me a second, guys.
That should be dirty.
Man,
Huh.
I used to hate flying into Memphis, bro.
Bro, KD's, bro, you got. All these players saying the same fucking thing. It's not. Bro, come on.
You coming to man? I used to hate flying into Memphis, bro.
What you coming to that FedEx? Them boys maybe had him for cracking.
I mean, we gonna stay at that West, and I'm gonna walk across. Oh, man, I used to hate flying into Memphis, bro.
What you
So
coming
KD,
to that FedEx? Them boys maybe had him for cracking.
I mean, we gonna stay at that West, and I'm gonna walk across. I'm walking across the street on game day to get to the like.
What's your least favorite city? Everybody's got to have one.
Yeah, Memphis, probably. I mean, the hotel is probably the worst hotel in the NBA. The food there is good, though.
Did you ever walk into a hotel room and just be like,
Dirk White.
wow, thousands of people have slept in this bed before me?
Yeah. Especially when we go to Memphis. I be like, damn, my hotels ain't nothing in Memphis. That shit be dirty. I walked in the Memphis hotel one time, I had stains and shit on the bed.
Stains and shit.
Stains and shit.
They broke in your room for you.
Nah, they ain't breaking in, but
No, I'm saying they broke it in.
yeah.
But it's Memphis, so they might have also broke in.
For sure.
Shoot out Memphis.
Memphis should probably be in that. Should be an Eastern
Even Dream. Come on, bro.
Conference team. Adam, let them just do us all a favor and take the team to Nashville. No harm, no foul. The relocation fee, it's a swap. See that arena? You ain't got to pay the relocation fee. So no harm, no foul there.
I don't think that's why. It's only a different city. You know, that's one of the city people enjoy. It is in Tennessee, so you get good on taxes. They gotta sit pretty, I guess. You know what
Oh, it's
The
Memphis
conversation.
is easily. But
Okay,
yes.
what cities have the worst hotels?
Ooh.
Memphis.
Oh.
For sure. An issue that we say hotel is, and this dates back. We said us. Sprinkler just for no reason in the room, like drenched all the Andrew Boat stuff. Like the sprinklers, like just went drenched this stuff. And they didn't want to do anything about it, so we switched in. So it's gotten a little better, but it's still not.
New Orleans is the worst destinations in the NBA.
I ain't gonna lie, Memphis probably is the city. The fact that you get robbed, walk off the street, hotel is the Memphis trenches. Everybody know that, but they got food.
So you got 2.5 minutes. Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Richard Jefferson. I'm pretty sure the guy sitting next to her, sitting next across him was Channing Frye. Danny Green. Like, you got all these NBA players saying the same thing. Anthony Edwards, you got all these players saying the same thing, bro. It's just that when LeBron said it, it was trending. Because guess what? He was speaking with a couple white people. That's why that shit got trending. But wait a minute, that makes no sense either. But Anthony Edwards, was talking to a white guy talking about Memphis, but he didn't catch that much flack compared to LeBron. So no, it's that the reason why Stephen A. is even talking about this is because LeBron, when LeBron talks about Memphis, that shit gets popular. That shit went viral. And now Stephen A. wants him a couple clicks too. That's why he's hopping on it. Cause he didn't hop on it when KD was talking about it. We didn't see a video. We didn't see a video when fucking Ed was talking about it. No, it was because LeBron's talking about it. We know that Stephen A. don't really like LeBron like that no more. I was like, he got a problem with LeBron, especially when Bron pulled up from his fucking face talking him when we talked shit about Bronny. Like, come on, man.
The difference between him and other Democrats is that he doesn't dance around, right? He don't tap dance, right? According to him.
Let them find a way for me to be on that debate stage and still be able to go back to work.
Please.
I'll be there.
Yeah, sure.
I'll be there. I'm telling you right now. I'll tell you right now. I will show up
Sure.
on that stage, not knowing anything compared to what Gavin.
They had 10 talking about politics, but you understand that
all yesterday I was
that you're talking about them. It's so stupid, man. Yeah, like LeBron's the only one talking about Memphis, bro. Yeah, like LeBron's the only one who talk about Memphis. Come on, Stephen
Same
A.
level of sensitivity to those folks everywhere, and I'm sure he does. It just didn't look like that on the golf course with a bunch of white boys surrounding him. Optics matter. Appearances matter. And words coming out of LeBron James' mouth about such a sensitive subject.
It's not sensitive.
Required a little bit more seriousness.
What's so serious?
Subject. Not just as it pertains to his words, but also his surroundings. And that much needs to be said.
And that interests me because Stephen A. Smith is someone who's talked about the city of Memphis in a negative light before as well.
Y'all, I'm a brother. I look at Memphis as being a city, with a lot of black folks in a red state. That's a tough position to be in. That's just a fact when we're talking about Memphis. But the mayor of Memphis made a comment speaking up for the city and invited me to come see it. Long time no AIDS. And I'm in Memphis quite for know a little things about Memphis. So let me get that out. But to the mayor, the Paul of Memphis, Tennessee, I'll throw this out there. Crimes have decreased by 13.3%. Violent crimes have dropped by poverty crimes have fallen by 20%. Have fallen in the year 2024. Okay, so we talk about that. Violent crimes. We're talking about robberies have decreased. Rape has decreased. So all of that sounds good because it's moving in the right direction. It's still recognized one of the worst cities in America, to the point where the head of the FBI called it the murder capital of this country per capita. Saying this is just weeks ago. What we're talking about here, the poverty rate is at 24.5%. In terms of their national ranking, it consistently ranks within the top 10 most impoverished large cities in the United States of America. Big one here, Molly, Wendy. 40% of the children in Memphis live in poverty. And we're talking about all of those things, and you're talking about
40%. 2/5 of the kids that live in Memphis. Live in poverty, bro. Like, yo. It's like you got like, shut up, Steven.
The troubles that exist. These are the kind of things that contribute to the city being deemed by some within the NBA community as unattractive.
Sorry. I know you lying. I know you lying. This man literally does that for a living. He sits up on a camera and talks bad about black people and forces stereotypes on black people, especially.
The issue with just Stephen A is that he talks both sides. He talks to both sides of his mouth. He's a two-faced, bro. He's a two-faced man. When he criticizes when he actually when he criticizes people like he did for Jasmine Crockett. When freaking people get on his fucking neck for it, he goes and apologizes and shit like that. Like that's the thing, bro. Stephen A wants to throw punches, but yet when other people trying to hit him back, he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." I'm like, come on, man. Again, man. It's just Stephen. I don't know, man. There's sometimes that Stephen A, man. Like sometimes you should stick to sports. That's the best thing. You're good at, man. Just stick to sports, man. Because you just talk about you just go back and forth every time you go on politics, man.
Black women every day. And we all know that this has absolutely nothing to do with what he's talking about. The reason he's still talking about LeBron James is because he got checked for talking crazy about LeBron James' son.
Legitimately.
Which he should. And he's still trying to get his lick back because his feelings is still hurt and he can't just go lick his wounds and stop.
Facts. Because again, KD talked about it. Freaking Danny talked about it. All these NBA players talked about Memphis in a bad light. And fucking Anthony Edwards, you talking about it? He was talking about Memphis in a negative light to a white guy. So clearly, it's not because the people that LeBron was talking to were white people. No, that's not the thing. That's not the problem. The problem is that Stephen A still has a grudge with LeBron James. So he's gonna use this. He's gonna use this. Video, the viral video, as a launching pad to critique LeBron James. That's why he wants to talk. That's why he's doing that. He still has a grudge when LeBron's 6'9", 250-pound having ass came up in here and checked him, and he didn't do shit. Talking about him for and Stephen A. releasing them bum ass videos of him doing sparring punches, man. You weak as fuck, man, Stephen A. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. Wouldn't, bitch ass nigga. Even LeBron calmed down video and fucking put laughing emojis. You're pathetic, man. Literally, LeBron took your manhood and you got mad over it, bro. Legit, what's the fucking happen, bro? Like, come on, man. Hold on, let me see if I can find the video. What? I want to see that Stephen A. boxing video. Does he have it? Does he have it? Where is it? Yeah, okay, here, I found it. I'll let me show you guys. Chaz, NBA, boxing. Let's see this shit, bro.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is Base 44. This is the first.
Earlier, Stephen A. Smith said he would have swung at LeBron if LeBron had put his hands on him during that confrontation.
You want this to be a reincarnation of Chris Rock and Will Smith? And let me state for the record that while we bring up that, let me assure you it wouldn't have gone down like that. I would have gotten my ass kicked. Because had that man put his hands on me, I would have immediately swung on him. Immediately.
And LeBron, after seeing this, posted on his Instagram these two videos.
Womp womp womp.
And you already know we're going to see an hour breakdown on First Take from Stephen A. after LeBron posted this on his Instagram. But, you know, let me know your thoughts in the comment
Yeah.
section.
Yeah, because LeBron fucking mocked his ass. I'm sorry, man. Stephen A, you try to act like you hard, but you ain't, man. Just because you from New York don't mean you hard automatically, bro. Alright? I'm pretty sure he's from New York. Let me check. I'm pretty sure he's from New York. Could be wrong. I'm pretty sure he's from New York. I mean, let me just confirm that. Yeah. He's from New York, from the Bronx, yeah. I'm sorry, man. Sorry, Stephen A. Just because you're from New York doesn't mean you automatically hard, bro. That doesn't mean nothing, bro. It's because you're in the Bronx means nothing, man.
Stephen A. Smith needs to get a grip or a clue or something, because you cannot be serious.
Listen to her. We're here because Gaza still needs your support.
Headlines fade.
Nah, I'm good, buddy.
So I just saw a video of Stephen A. Smith having an issue with LeBron on a golf course with a bunch of white boys, as he put it, talking about Memphis and how they should move to Nashville. And if you've been paying attention on social media, it's kind of a trending topic right now. I played in Memphis, got a lot of love for the city, but there's no doubt that the city needs to upgrade when it comes to its facilities for pro players. But Stephen A., you shouldn't have a problem with that. You're talking about his words and what they mean to the black community, but you've been the same man in front of the camera for the last handful of months, disrespecting Serena Williams, disrespecting Jasmine Crockett.
Yup. Yup. Jasmine Crockett one. That's one I know.
Disrespecting Kamala Harris.
Yup.
And tap dancing for the whole Republican Party.
Yup.
The whole white Republican Party.
I mean.
But you got an issue with LeBron talking about a trending topic, and his words carry weight, and he doesn't understand what his words can do to the black community. Do you understand the bullshit you're talking and what that can do to the black community? We all used to have a lot of love for you, bro, particularly me, because you looked out. But we're not going to forget the bullshit you on right now.
So when we're sitting here picking and choosing who holds weight in the conversation, someone might be dumb enough to consider Stephen A. Smith as the beacon of what it means to be black in society and how you present yourself in terms of criticizing the black community. I would say it doesn't even fucking matter if you're saying it to a group of black people or a group of white people. The situation still isn't changing. I'm from New Orleans, love my city, born and raised, but I'm glad I got the fuck out of New Orleans and Louisiana, period, because there's a lot of shit there I don't like. Yeah, the food's nice. Yeah, you got some nice little parties every February and March, but overall, got a lot of there that you don't necessarily want to deal with. And when you grow up around that and having to see that, you would want to get out of it because you ain't got the resources or the money or the ability to deal with motherfuckers who are just going to put a fucking statue of an Afro pick into a common area thinking that that's going to mean something to the city. And at some point, you just want to get the fuck out. And you don't necessarily ever want to come back every so often. You might visit, but when you visit, you notice that, yeah, you got reasons as to why you left. And when I'm hearing these people try really hard to stand up for Memphis.
Yeah, because even LeBron's like, yo, LeBron even's like, yo, I don't want to go back to my own hometown. I was born in Akron, Ohio. I don't want to go back there. So it's like if LeBron doesn't want to go back to his own hometown, bro, it's like it just means nothing, man. Stephen A. just mad because LeBron fucking trolled his bitch ass and you doing that fucking boxing video. And yeah.
You should have pride in your city. If you want to look at everything that's so good and great, please keep doing that. Being so mad that one guy had something to say proves that there's not a lot of faith in what it is that you claim to hold great pride in. Because Who the fuck is LeBron? Oh, he's a basketball player from Akron, Ohio, not a safe place, who mainly played basketball for a time period in Cleveland, not really a structurally safe place for some people. There are negative things to say about damn near every city in this fucking country. Somebody's going to say, oh, it's because of this leader and that leader. These fucking areas suck. They're riddled with issues that a lot of people in suits never really want to fucking clean up, because if they do their job, they're not needed anymore. But to bring it back to our core issue, this pretending as if it's a great atrocity mentioning issues.
Yeah, again, it's like oh, LeBron betraying his own people by talking about a predominantly black owned city in a negative light. Again, he wasn't even talking about the people in there. He was just talking about the city as a whole and how the city is not as well conditioned as another city like Nashville. It's that people take that and think that LeBron's implicating that, yeah, it's because black people, it's because the majority own black people city is why why it's gone to shit. And you can obviously think that's a factor for sure, because I'm pretty sure Memphis is like a woke city as well. But it's like, yeah, Memphis is a shit city. It's a shit city. Like, come on.
To the evil opposition doesn't change nothing, because somewhere no one knows about it. Somebody's dead. Somebody got shot, somebody got kidnapped, somebody got ran over, and barely anybody knows about it unless you decide to turn on your local news. So I don't know why we're sitting here pretending as if it's this great betrayal to the black community to speak about black issues to people who aren't black. I thought you wanted these dumb fuck whites to educate themselves. How are they going to do that if they're not listening to the words of a prolific leader, and he's only in that position because you motherfuckers run around saying King James every other fucking day when he's just a regular guy? I think people would want to agree that all the bad that exists in any given city, we would all want it to go away. But that takes community, it takes resources, and a lot of that is what people don't have, whether it be a bunch of people pretending like they care, dressing up and standing in front and saying, we will make change, and then going home, or if it's politicians saying, vote for me and I'll change it, and they just make it worse or leave it the same, or a fucking celebrity talking about how much they don't like the area. Nothing's gonna change unless somebody's willing to start. And if you want people's perception of your city to change, start changing the shit that's so negative in it. That way, when these motherfuckers do burp these takes out, they will be wrong, and you could better your communities for the future. But I could venture a guess somebody heard that shit and thinking, oh my, he's talking white supremacist talking points. And it's at that point, I feel like nobody actually wants the world to get better. So let's just all fuck while it gets worse. I will love.
Yeah. That just seems what it is. It's just that LeBron's talk, because again, LeBron mentioned Milwaukee too. But he probably put a lot more focus into Memphis. That's why people have an issue. It's like, oh, you're talking about conveniently black owned city. We'll see, what does Anton Daniels have to say? I don't really watch his content, but I guess he was on my.
Like Milwaukee was too. Did they miss that one too? They didn't see that? Not as much commentary. Oh, yeah, okay. I said Milwaukee as well. Yeah. 41 years old. It's two cities I do not like playing in right now. And that's Milwaukee and that's Memphis. What is your problem? I don't like going home either. I'm from there. What is people are ridiculous. They also get mad at my son being on the team too. So what are we talking about? People need to figure out other ways to put their energy to other things that's important. Like seriously, I'm not talking about the city, like the people in Memphis. Like, I don't like staying at the Hyatt Central. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Nothing. What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
LeBron James doubling down, letting you know that he don't like playing in Memphis or Milwaukee. And then on top of that, at insult to injury, he also threw in Cleveland and said, I don't like going home either.
Yeah.
To be fair, I can understand, especially Cleveland, because if you let Slimmy be a part of it, everybody that I never talked to that is in from.
It was so funny because people had rumors that LeBron's gonna go back to Cleveland after this season, and obviously, judging by what he's saying, I don't think he wants to go back. He's not. It seems like he's not going to go back to Cleveland. But speaking of it, yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen to Lakers, man, because Lakers don't have Luka and they don't have Austin. So I don't know if LeBron's gonna be playing these next few handful of games. Like I don't know. You don't know what's gonna happen.
Or currently rocking in Ohio or Cleveland, they act like LeBron James is not the greatest player to ever play the game in a Cleveland uniform, and that he is not the greatest athlete probably to ever come out of Ohio, right? And Slimmy, if y'all have joined me on Room 9 and After Hours, you already know that Slimmy uh, regularly says that they don't necessarily care for LeBron James. And it's so funny because I remember he actually built that massive house in Akron, Ohio. And I'm assuming that he still owns that house in Akron, Ohio. But he probably regrets putting all the money that he did into it. And maybe he did it at a time that he thought that he would always be playing for Cleveland or something like that, or owed to his hometown. But he did say a little bit more than that, if you just want to be transparent, because he did say that they should move the whole team from Memphis over to Nashville, which again, I think that he's valid in being able to have an opinion of what city he don't like playing in and what his suggestion is. It's just that because he's LeBron James, his words hold a lot more weight, and so now people are butthurt and aggravated about it, like he said something wrong. But I come from an era where everybody was on rivalries, and it's people that hated whole cities. He didn't say he's right. He did not say anything about the people in Memphis, but he did talk about the team and the accommodations. He don't not necessarily care about staying at the Hyatt and all of that stuff. So again, if I was from Memphis, I would be like, okay, whatever. I don't really care about that. And if people want change and if people want a better city or a better environment, then they need to do better in Memphis, or the team owners need to do better in Memphis, and they need to do better.
But then again, the thing is that it all falls down to the mayor of that city, and the fact if the mayor is a woke motherfucker who's not gonna change shit, then those opinions that LeBron that those similar opinions are gonna pop up again and again and again. Because clearly again, LeBron's not the only one that's not the only person who doesn't like Memphis. It's just that he's one of the most popular players of all time. So when he says shit, a lot of people pay attention to it. You know. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I do want to watch the second story for a second. That she did release a new video. Not a new video, but it's a recent video.
How do I consistently score these top grades for my essays? First, after getting the question, always go to the marking scheme and don't just look at what you need to do to.
Show of hands, how many of you have heard this? It doesn't matter what you read, so long as you're reading. I can't think.
No, I think it does matter what you're. I've heard it on the internet, but I think that it does kind of matter what you're reading, because it depends on the age group. But you're not gonna give a fuck. You're not gonna give a child fucking Blood Meridian. You're not gonna give a 6-year-old blood. You're not gonna give a fucking 8-year-old Blood Meridian. That's for fucking sure. So yeah, it just depends on it depends on the person for sure.
Think of very many statements that I disagree with more than that one. The reality is that the stories we take in have a direct, tangible, noticeable effect on our character, behavior, intelligence, and even mental health, positive and negative. It absolutely matters what we read. Here's the thing. Books, movies, video games, television, etc. impact, alter, form, and manipulate your mind. This has been a scientifically recognized fact for almost a century in some areas, and it has been a known fact among the fairy tale tellers and fable writers for millennia. Right up front, here is what we know to be fact. First, fiction presents to you an image of reality which you will then use to construct your perception of the real world. Second, Fiction can subtly change you over time. This includes changing your opinions, your behavior, your tastes, your beliefs, and sometimes even your personality. This isn't a matter of believing this or not. This is simple reality. The question is, how does this happen and what does it mean for the formation and health of minds? Videos about smut and fan fiction, I pointed out that long-term consumption of particularly disturbing types of these things lead to weekly distress. It isn't analyses that I read that told me this, but also common sense. Yet for more than anything else, I was enthusiastically condemned. No one terms fiction is not reality, and it can to people. Duh. Or other variations. Within these smut fiction, there's a lot of talk about all the positive effects reading can have on your mind. Increased empathy, decreased loneliness, etc. But apparently when it comes to negative things, fiction can't have any effects on your mind. Duh. I mean, we know the difference between fiction and reality. Very often, saying that fiction can affect behavior is identical to the silly arguments from the 90s that video violence. Yes, was absolutely. So I hope it's high time to take a close look at just how much of an effect the fiction we consume has on our minds and our. The video thing gets brought up a lot of I tried to talk this. And so before we dive into the way right up front, mainly because this particular is responsible for by far the talk to this entire topic.
Which skills do I need for my next role? What technologies are even relevant anymore? At boot.dev, we
Back in 1997, a troubled teenage boy by the name of John Ramsey took a shot at a bully and his high school principal. Not long after, in 1999, which was one of those massive seismic cultural shifts that you don't realize until you look back on it. Anyway, later that year, 16 on the topic of school violence, school shooting, narrative gymnastics to wriggle and cartwheel, every other issue, and instead, quote-unquote, violent video behavior.
Oh, I remember this topic where it was like, oh, this video games cause violence. Is that stupid? Except that stupid fucking thing.
Especially in teenage boys.
And he spent hours every day playing the violent video game Doom.
Anyone who has ever played video games, including first-person shooters, knows that this claim is completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Sure, there were interviews with dumb kids saying dumb crap like, oh yeah, man, playing video games is the closest you can get to actually killing people. Because of course they said that. Some wide-eyed boomer put a microphone in their face and they thought they'd have a laugh because they were 16 and stupid. I'm assuming that like 9/10 of my audience already knows that video games do not cause violence. Maybe all of you. This is not news. By the way, if you're not...
People still think about it to this day, though. That's the thing. I see it's very rare nowadays, but it's still a talking point people spread nowadays from here and there. Now it's back. Now it's turned on to anime now. Now it's like anime fan services is ruining anime, some fucking dumb shit like that.
Convinced there's a lot of data debunking this fallacy on my website. But why was this idea so prevalent? Why did it become such a huge issue? Because of one dumb 60-minute segment and a few histrionic talking heads on local news? Look again. But this time, look past 60 minutes. News wasn't the real clincher here. The same idea almost immediately began to appear in fictional television. For years and years after Columbine, we had police procedurals and movies and books that featured storylines in which troubled teenagers, especially teenage boys, were all playing violent video games, and more people believed it. Without a shred of evidence, without a speck of proof, without stopping to think about it themselves, without trying the games themselves, without talking to any kids who play these games, people just gradually took it as truth. And as much influence as a program like 60 Minutes genuinely had back in those days, the fictional representations did the vast majority of the heavy lifting. The TV shows and the movies that showed us over and over and over again false realities in which violent video games actually did cause violence in children primed the minds of people. And then when the next school shooter dropped, it would be a chorus of, he was probably on those violent video games. The idea was planted, nurtured, and allowed to grow without people really being aware of it, and certainly without being aware of how false it was, or even if they knew it was probably false. I want you to remember that. That's important, and we're going to come back to it. Of course, the immediate follow-up question becomes, why did they do this? That's a very interesting question, and one I'd invite all of you to think about at great length, but it's a little too big of a question for this video. And as much as I love a rabbit hole tangent, let's try to stay on task. No, video games do not cause violence. But remember, there's a reason people believed that was true for so long. Okay, now that we've gotten that out of the way, the next big hurdle that we need to get over is this. If it has been widely debunked that violent video games cause violence or aggression in their players, why then do we still believe that any fictional media has any effect whatsoever on the formation of our character and our opinions and even our behavior?
I think it's because there's this small minority of people that do get affected by fiction, and then they take it too far, and they either end up hurting themselves or hurting others. I think one time someone tried to be like Gara or some shit. I don't know if it's Gara or some Naruto character. So he fucking drowned. He accidentally killed himself or some dumb shit. Yeah, that's the problem. It's just people. It's that small group of people. It's a small amount, but it's there when they basically use fiction to become the whole personality type shit.
So, two questions. First, does fiction impact us enough to even be relevant? Does it form our character? Does it change our opinions? Does it alter the landscape of our minds for good or for bad? Does it change us? The answer,
I would say yeah, to a certain degree,
is yes. The
Yeah.
second question then is, if fiction has this much of an effect on us, then why don't violent video games cause violence? It might seem like I'm spending a lot of time on this, but this question creates a very convenient way for me to explain a really important distinction. So let's talk about this. All right, so firstly, violence in fiction is safe because it isn't real. The human mind does not perceive violence in video games, movies, books, or anything else in the same way it perceives real-life violence. The perception of unreality helps to mitigate the effects it has on our minds. You can find some studies in my linked article, but the bottom line is that if we know the violence is fake, it doesn't impact our minds like real violence does.
Yeah, like for example, when you're playing GTA, Call of Duty, or any fighting game, we know that in our minds that this is not real. So it's not gonna really change us in like any drastic way, because it's like, yeah, we know it's not real. We know we know in the end of the day these are just pixels on a fucking screen. So it's like, yeah, who really cares? And I had that same thing about freaking like anime too. Just like, I know in the grand scheme of things, it is just characters, just characters on pieces of paper, whether digital or physical. So
Hence the lack of increased aggression with violent video games. Even if it's disturbing, even if the suspension of disbelief is present, our minds know it isn't real, so it doesn't register the same way real-world violence does. There have been studies done on children, that's a slightly uncomfortable sentence, in which these children were shown violent movies and their reactions were analyzed. If the violence was obviously fake, such as cartoons or that kind of Three Stooges obviously fake goofy violence, even if it was scary, it didn't have an effect on their behavior. If, however, the violence was more realistic, as in, for example, what you'd find in an episode of Game of Thrones, the kids couldn't clearly perceive that it wasn't real. These children then exhibited increased aggression and violent tendencies. So our ability to perceive...
But I think the difference is as well is that Game of Thrones is live action, like because obviously these is live action. This is like these are real people. Like obviously they're acting, they're pretending to be a character, but we know that these are real people. For some of the if a cartoon like SpongeBob, we can definitely, it's easier for kids to tell, like, yeah, okay, this shit's not real. Like a walking, talking sponge living under the pineapple and hitting and driving small little tiny boats. Yeah, that's not real. But something like Game of Thrones, where they use real people to play fictional characters, then that's going to be more realistic because obviously it's a live action, right? The difference between cartoon and live action in this case.
That the violence is fake is an important aspect. And I know what you're going to say. What about desensitization? We'll get into that later. When we watch a well-made movie with graphic violence that absolutely looks real, it might turn our stomachs, but we know in the back of our mind that that actor didn't actually get disemboweled. So after the movie's over, we don't really think about it anymore. Not because we're heartless, but because we never thought it was real or genuinely sad and tragic to begin with. It was all pretend. There's pictures of that guy wearing a $4,000 suit on the red carpet a year later. We know this. And even if we cried because we were into the story, we knew it wasn't real. There's a visceral and neurological difference between watching that actor get hanged and drawn in Netflix's Robert the Bruce biopic and then looking at grainy black and white photos of Yukio Mishima committing seppuku. Because you know that only one of those sets of images is presenting actual reality. That knowledge changes your perception and therefore changes the impact it has on your mind. Briefly now, let's talk about that four-letter word, the one I accidentally renamed NORP a few videos ago. Visual live-action adult content is unsimulated. It's real. That's not CGI. That's actually happening. Even when there's violence, even when the actors are bleeding or crying, or their bodies are struck resulting in red welts, it's real, more or less. We know all of that is actually real and happening. Therefore, our minds perceive it entirely differently. There are many surveys and analyses that have been done that have shown that increased NORP watching is more closely related to increases in violence and aggression than video games ever were, in large part because it's real. What about animated NORP, you might ask? We'll get to that, I promise. But for right now, just to get this out of the way, it's important to understand that any content of any kind that we take into our minds has an effect on us. But the reason violence doesn't cause violence is because the human mind perceives it to be fake. Perceptibly real violence causes an increase in aggression in children and adults. If it's known to be fake, the effect is basically null. Sources in abundance in the linked article on my website. Now that we've talked about the difference between real and fake, let's talk about truth and falsehoods. Fiction is something that's always to some degree untrue. But despite that, it still informs our opinions and our perceptions about the real world. This can be good or bad. There are two major areas to address here. The first is the fact that what we perceive to be fake, that is, fictional stories, will still nevertheless inform our perception of reality. The second area is propaganda. A 1992 article in the Journal of Communications says this: "An actor playing a doctor on television isn't a real doctor, but people may perceive him or her as providing information about doctors." Now, when we receive information about reality, some is unmediated. That is, we get it ourselves by, say, witnessing it personally, or it's mediated, which means someone has told us about it, such as, for instance, news and stories. According to a lot of academic research and analyses, the average human's basis for reality, as they understand it, is composed largely of mediated sources. That is, most of what we know about reality is based on what we have been told. As we have all become more and more isolated from each other and from, the touching of grass with social media and COVID and 100 other modern problems, the percentage of what we know and use to build our perception of reality is increasingly mediated. So, like it or not, our perception of reality is more and more at the mercy of other people, many of whom are faceless strangers. A quote from that research paper states, "A television program about a detective may include information about male-female relationships, power dynamics, violent behavior, verbal and nonverbal communication, geography, economics, and a whole range of human behaviors." This hypothetical television program, or, any of an assortment of real television programs, might not and often aren't getting these kinds of facts correct. Sure, we all know that procedures on TV might be different from reality, but think about the other things he mentioned: male-female relationships, power dynamics, geography, economics, violent behavior. Like, violent video games causing aggression. We so often forget that the TV or Netflix or social media or romantasy novel number 351 are presenting ideas about reality that might be and often are completely different from actual reality in those areas. And so when we watch and read these things, a lot of people take this stuff for granted, and they don't even realize it. And slowly, slowly, it builds their perception of real-world reality. How? Television has, for years, been a major focal point of this area of study. Even as far back as the 1950s, when researchers were studying the effects of propaganda, there was major concern regarding how people knew what was real and what wasn't. All right, so quick brass tacks here. With reality construction in the mind, we have two separate processes: construction and reconstruction. Construction happens when we receive the input, so to speak, when we watch the movie or the news show, or when we read the book or the blog post or the tweet or whatever. Reconstruction happens later, but construction is more or less the act of, to use the popular term, consuming the media and then storing it in the memory. If you've ever ventured into the fascinating philosophical world of phenomenology, then you've heard people talk about how a huge part of how we perceive reality is based on the state we were in when we constructed it in our minds. That is, when we first received the images and messages and then stored them in our memory. Not reality itself, but our perception of it. I've said this 1,000 times, reality is objective. Our perception of reality can be very subjective, depending on 1,000 different factors, even if objective reality is fixed. A really, really rudimentary example of what I'm talking about with our personal condition, emotionally or mentally altering our perception of reality. When you remember your first grade classroom, you remember it being really big, because at that time you were really small and you were kind of trapped there, or you were at least under someone's strict authority. If you were to go back there now, you would see that it's actually pretty small. Think of this with emotional state, periphery knowledge, other matters that might have been going on when you took in the images and message. All of this colors the construction, that is, the initial taking in of the images and or message and storing them in your memory. This is why literature students used to be trained and conditioned to try to remove as much of themselves as possible when they were reading a text, because everything about you colors the initial construction of the text in your mind. This is why most literature students now are hopeless when they read a text, because they've been conditioned to do so solely with their emotions and or with a specific predetermined set of parameters for interpretation. Their construction is much too flawed. So after this initial construction, after we take in the message and the images, it has been encoded and stored in our memory. When we want to re-access it, we reconstruct it from the encoded memory file, so to speak. So the state we were in and the way in which we received the message directly affects the way it was stored and encoded. So already right out of the gate, it needs to be clear. When you watch a movie or read a book, and then that movie or book drops information on you, say, about the price of gas in Ireland in the 1980s, or the state of gender relations in Texas in the 1990s, things with which you are not directly personally familiar, your brain is, first of all, not automatically going to reject that information as false or, fictional. Studies have found that if we don't know about the thing, our minds are more likely to accept the information as true. Later, when, say, someone asks you about gender relations in the 90s in Texas, you will reconstruct information from various sources in your memory, and there's an extremely high chance that among those sources will be that movie or book. That fictional information will simply be part of your understanding of reality of 1990s Texas. You might not even remember, especially if you didn't encode it specifically, that that information came from a fictional source. It will simply be real-world information you have in your brain. By the way, this doesn't mean you're stupid. This is just how our minds work. Everything we take in throughout our lives builds up our mind's storehouse of memory files, which we can then access when we need a solution to a problem or an answer to a question. Everything we take in, including and especially fiction. Even if the factual information in the fictional media is inaccurate, the brain still tends to store it with all the rest of the factual information and then uses it to build its perception of reality. The idea that television, literature, or other forms of fictional storytelling can alter a human mind is sometimes referred to as cultivation. And there's a lot of debate about it for obvious reasons. A lot of research has been done over the years, and this is what seems to be more or less generally agreed upon. First, the mass media are used to develop attitudes toward reality. So the science shows us, like it or not, that fictional media, among other types, does inform our perception of reality. Second, media experiences may accumulate over time and influence reconstruction in a variety of ways. This touches a little on the idea of repetition, which we are going to get into in a minute here. Third, mediated information with which the individual has had little or no direct contact and thus no clear method of evaluating are the most likely to influence reconstruction. That is, if you don't personally have experience with the subject, so if you're not a nurse or doctor and you're watching a medical drama, for instance, it's more likely to be used by your mind to build your idea of medical reality. Fourth, a story presented within a generally familiar context is especially likely to be used in reconstruction. It has been found that the closer the depiction is to real life, or the more closely we can identify with it, the more we use it to build our understanding of real life. Related to this, the more we self-insert into and identify with a character in the story, the more this effect is increased. So in those cases, even a fantasy story will be deemed close to real life in areas that are important to the readers, such as gender issues, sexuality, interpersonal relationships, power dynamics, and so forth. Yes, even if everyone owns a personal dragon and can use magic. Finally, mediated communication is most likely to influence reconstruction when its original presentation was accompanied by stress or emotional excitement.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform.
Okay.
This last point is important because it's a big reason why emotional investment in stories, which has become the most important factor in modern literary interpretation, is a key in capturing both the attention and intellectual vulnerability of your audience. Good writers will use emotion together with many other tools to present the themes or questions they want to ask with the story. Poor writers will rely on emotion and shock to try to present a warped version of reality in a way they believe the audience will perceive to be true, or at least more salacious and exciting. And malicious writers will manipulate the emotions of their audiences to actively and deliberately alter their perceptions of and their opinions about reality. You'll find studies done on marketing that have found that people are more likely to change their opinions or be swayed by what the ad is saying if they are angry or distressed. Similarly, people will respond well to ads that make them laugh or otherwise place them in a heightened emotional state, and so on and so on. This is all an extremely complex area of study that is also very, very fascinating. And you can find a link to this article as well as others on the topic on my website. But the bottom line is that we as a society have acknowledged for over a century that fictional media of all kinds alters its audience's perceptions of reality to varying degrees. So yes, you know the difference between fiction and reality, but the thing is, it just isn't that simple. In terms of what we actually know and accept to be true about human beings, the human condition, and the world, how much of that is reconstructed in our minds from information that came from movies and books and TV shows? Let's put aside the obvious things, like medicine doesn't work like that, hospitals aren't run like that, that's not police procedure, guns don't work that way, and so on. What about aspects of human existence that we have learned about largely from fiction? Let's take a simple example, Lord of the Flies, a book that was required reading for most of you, and if not, was still something as a concept that you knew. Even now, we simply refer to people behaving like animals and every man for himself as a Lord of the Flies situation. That story told people that in a situation in which laws didn't exist and there was no authority, then humans would revert to animalistic behavior and start turning on each other. I'm guessing that most people in the audience right now just take that idea for granted. Lionel Trilling, a prominent literary critic who liked the book, remarked that its insane popularity among young people produced a kind of mutation of culture. But how true is it really? There are many stories about real people and real situations that were similar to that one, and they didn't start turning on each other, but actually worked together and managed to survive by helping each other. Most notably, the 1965 story of 6 teenagers who survived for 15 months after a shipwreck by working together, remaining disciplined and supporting each other. Reality is, in fact, starkly contrary to what the exciting, shocking fictional book had to say. Surprise, surprise. Yet we still hold the realities presented in Lord of the Flies as a given. How many people had their opinions about the reality of suburban housewives fundamentally altered by books and movies like The Stepford Wives? As someone who has interacted with a huge variety of suburban housewives all my life, I can say with some confidence that I have personally never met a Stepford wife. Yet I have met countless people who assume that all housewives are Stepford wives. Did anyone else see that video of the woman who went to South Korea to find herself a nice, handsome Korean husband, only to find that, shocker, Korean men are generally very normal and not all male models, and then she went home in a huff? Why in the world would anyone ever believe that the superstar actors on TV shows were representative of an entire population? What madness is that? This is the
Yeah.
result of an ever...
No, that's conflating. That's conflating. That's conflating just one person. Because one person did this, that means the whole thing, everyone does this. It's just like that's such an overscale. Such an overscale. Because now you're just saying, okay, one it's because of one person. Now everyone whoever is a similar opinion, or whoever is freaking causing this bad outlook on fiction, on a certain. Again, it's like the fans, bro. They're the fans of an anime. It's like just because you got these fucking wild ass shippers, man. I don't like mean anything. That well, it doesn't affect like, but it doesn't affect me. But it does affect the perception of people have sometimes.
increasing percentage of our real world knowledge being mediated. That woman and thousands of men and women like her think that what they are shown and what they are told is reality. Sure, she knew that the K-dramas she was watching were fiction. She absolutely knew the difference between fiction and reality. Or did she? Anyone thinking about it for longer than a minute would be able to tell you that, of course, TV, movies, books, and social media are not reality.
They're
So
not.
why is it that everyone behaves?
People people are either too much of a fan of it, so they want to reenact it in the world, in the real life, or they're just ignorant. Like for example, like social media. Social media, a lot of people are ignorant. They don't really know the truth about social media. They don't know how most social media is fake. So when you see like people with all these cars and all that stuff, you know that's fake. That's fake type shit. That fake, bro. All these Instagram models, all this stuff, man. They're just like, nah, these girls. The truth is, these girls are farts. Okay.
Like it is. Just for fun, let's analyze our poor lady who didn't find a K-pop husband. She apparently watched a lot of K-dramas in which the male actors all had above average good looks, as is common in any entertainment industry. Yet this was an area she knew nothing about. That is, she had no personal real-world knowledge of Korean men, so she was using what she was seeing in K-dramas to build her perception of Korean reality. Meanwhile, these K-dramas were otherwise very close to real life. Even now, a lot of Korean dramas come across very Western, so it was familiar. Then, these K-dramas produced in her a heightened emotional state, probably a more positive one than a negative one. On top of all that, she probably watched a lot of them, so you've got repetition in there too, which we're about to get into. So all of that combined can show you how her perception of reality could be formed by fiction in this way, even if she absolutely knew the difference between fiction and reality. We can laugh and joke and make fun, but the fact is that this is how the human mind works, especially if we aren't guarded against it. Now, does any of that make Lord of the Flies and the Stepford Wives and, all those sappy K-dramas dangerous stories that we should, ban? Obviously not. Very often, it's just a story. Sometimes it's even a good story. The point I'm trying to make is that just because it's well told and it's exciting and even sometimes compelling doesn't mean it's true. And just because you, the audience, know it isn't true doesn't mean that it can't have an effect on you. People need to train themselves to remember that the human reality presented in fiction is very likely just as fictional as everything else in the story. I personally think that stories that stay truer to human reality are better stories, but that's just me. I also think that people need to experience more real world reality and stop basing all of their opinions and perceptions off what they saw on like TikTok or Netflix. If more people had a stronger real world awareness of actual real life, they would be less susceptible to situations where they accidentally take fictional reality for granted. We all accept that fiction is not reality, but very few of us go out of our way to remember that fiction isn't even similar to reality most of the time. The simple truth is that we have been accidentally, or who knows, maybe deliberately, conditioned to accept the reality that is presented in fiction as analogous to the actual real world, when it very often is not. We have to use our own...
Yeah, that's the thing. People push that shit. People will push that shit. They'll push shit like that, whether that be political or whatever. People will push that shit, and then honestly, people will have a hard time saying that fiction doesn't affect reality. But it'll definitely be like, yeah, now you're trying to make something obvious, bro. You're definitely trying to point something out, man.
Unmediated real-world knowledge to adjust our perceptions to better fit objective reality. But how can people do that when they're conditioned to reconstruct their reality using only emotion and when they only interact with mediated forms of reality, be it Netflix or TikTok or the latest Norpy romance romp? Now, while we're taking in content, to use a broad spectrum term, doing so actively versus passively is a factor, which I'll talk about in just a second. But in any case, we are on the receiving end no matter what. When we watch the news, someone is telling us what happened. We aren't participating in the gathering of information, and we didn't ourselves witness it. When someone tells us a story, we're sitting back and letting the storyteller do the bulk of the work. We are, in a sense, at their mercy. I think it would be good to keep that in mind. We already know that the news is full of lies. We know this.
Yeah.
We know that social media is often, if not always, completely fabricated, or at least very misleading. We sometimes use the term fake news. We sometimes
yeah, and most times, most social media is it's deliberately fake to misguide you. Since social media is bad, because the thing about social media is that, because social media, it's what people don't understand about social media is that, like, it's not fiction, obviously, because obviously you think these are real people doing real things, right? Like shorts and all that stuff, but like most of the times it's usually some secret behind it, whether that be this person is renting out a fucking something expensive, or this person got a surgery that got her to where she looks like now, you know. So
propaganda. Let's stick with that one. Propaganda.
Men don't doom scroll, masturbate, drink, and smoke because they're lazy. They do it because their overstimulated brain is starving.
He says he's fine, but he has.
First, let's define it. Propaganda, according to the dictionary, is any systematic scheme or concerted movement for the propagation of a particular doctrine or practice. By that definition, propaganda can be understood to be neutral. It's merely the deliberate effort to propagate a particular belief or even a way of life. So you could even have propaganda that is meant to encourage people to be honest and help those in need. The point is that most media that uses storytelling, be it news or a nonfiction book or a blog post about makeup or a movie or a novel, will be trying to propagate certain ideas or beliefs or ways of life. People tend to only perceive this in a negative light if they disagree with the propaganda, or if it is objectively bad and harmful, like a story that tries to, I don't know, encourage kids to murder their parents in order to steal all their money. But whether it's news or marketing or a fictional story, it's all propaganda because it's all trying to deliver a message that its writers want you to believe. Some is good, some is bad, some is neutral. Very few things are as perfectly suited to the dissemination of propaganda, or if you want to use more neutral language, the deliberate formation of minds, as storytelling and literature, movies and books. People, especially nowadays, are automatically guarded against news and marketing. People are far less guarded with fiction. This in part has to do with the difference between passive and active story consumption. We tend to be more active when reading the news, and we tend to be more passive when consuming some types of fiction. What is the difference between taking in information by reading fiction versus watching it? For our purposes today, I'm speaking more generally. That is, in general, what does our general fictional intake do to our character and behavior? All of my research has shown me that both affect the mind, full stop. There are, of course, differences, and so very briefly we're going to touch on them for the sake of thoroughness. But this is not a video about whether or not books are better than TV. Books are better than TV, generally. But whether you're reading your fiction or watching it, it is still forming your character. But TV is passive and reading is active. There are a lot of other differences, and I've put some data on my website if you're curious, but this is the one that's the most relevant to our topic today: passive versus active. There is a school of thought that views literary fiction as requiring more cognitive work, so readers have to look for meaning and interpretations, and they're going into the book with a more actively inquisitive approach to the story and the characters, because part of the function of literary fiction is to ask questions without providing answers. Whereas popular or commercial fiction tends to require less cognitive work, and reading these types of books has been described as a more passive experience, cognitively speaking, thus suggesting that popular fiction, as something that the reader's mind tends to take in more passively, is more likely to go unquestioned in the reader's mind. So if the popular caper novel Beach Read just mentions in passing that diamonds are the rarest stones in the world and therefore the most expensive, a lot of readers will metabolize that information as fact without even realizing that they're doing it because they didn't sit down to read a beach novel in order to question everything. Their minds aren't in questioning mode. So the more popular fiction you read, the more information your brain ambiently takes in without you even realizing that it's doing it. To quote this 2020 research paper on the topic, readerly fiction does not abide by the show don't tell rule, it tells. On the other hand, writerly literary fiction requires a much more active role from the readers who are not told but merely shown, and as a consequence have to extract or even construct meaning for themselves. Literary texts traffic in human possibilities rather than in settled certainties.
And I think that too, because when you're reading a book, you I agree with that, because when you're reading a book, right, you are basically like you are creating the setting. Like when you're reading a book, you are imagining the scene or the or the events or the story in your head, right? So if a character gives like a description of how what a character looks like, you're gonna piece it together in your head, like, okay, this character looks like this, and this, and then if the writer doesn't explain what any more features, they're like, okay, well, I'm add my own features and put a little bit of this into it. That's basically how it is. So yeah, I would say that for sure, because for readerly fiction, like when it comes onto like when writers like describe like rooms or describes objects or something like that, it's they're basically giving you like the blueprint, or like the just here's the details, now draw the blueprint type shit. That's basically what it is. So when you're reading fiction, it gets your brain active, because now you imagine that scene playing out in your head, like a mental movie or some shit.
Way, show don't tell, which is one of the most overused and misunderstood pieces of literary advice in the whole entire world, is all about this. It does not refer to writers showing the character walking across the room instead of saying he walked across the room, as if the latter option is somehow literarily inferior. It doesn't mean that you are required to show how pretty the lady is rather than merely saying that the lady was pretty. These are all stylistic choices, and no book should be entirely one thing or the other. Show, don't tell is actually referring to things like theme. Don't tell the reader that, say, hunting a guy down for revenge might ruin your life too, but show them a situation in which that happens and let the reader wonder for himself if it was or wasn't worth it. Bonus points if it's really not clear in the text. This true type of show don't tell requires the writer to have less arrogance than is common these days. Most writers nowadays have to put all their personal opinions and views on every page of their books. The difference between literary fiction and popular fiction is not style or
Yeah,
quality of prose.
because it's so dumb. Because basically, when people want to create like apolitical stuff, people are so confused. Like, huh? Actually, something apolitical, or they're not confused, but like they're finally like happy when they say, "Hey, we want something apolitical." Because like we've been reading, there's so many popular stuff that is like bathed in politics, in real world politics. It's just like to see somebody like, yeah, I want to create a story that doesn't have to do with my own beliefs. It's like, fucking finally.
It's this. One makes you think, the other doesn't. Therefore, one is active, the other is more passive, which is why a lot of modern literary fiction that spoon feeds readers hyper-specific political or social commentary is not literary fiction. While cheap paperbacks with no delusions of grandeur and yet which make you think deeply for a long time after reading them are much more valuable, literarily speaking. A skilled writer can couch in his story the theme that, say, murdering your parents to steal their money isn't really a very serious crime. That's an extreme example, but let's go with it. I once said that good writers are manipulative, which just means that a writer who is skilled with words can make you believe what he wants you to believe without you even really realizing that it came from him. This is the essence of propaganda. This isn't necessarily insidious, but merely a writer who wants to present a specific idea, but wants to do so subtly because he's a good writer. If such a writer genuinely believes that there's nothing wrong with murdering and robbing your parents, then he will weave that into his story in a very convincing way. A mind that isn't constantly on the lookout for fictional propaganda will take that in like a seed, even if they know it isn't true. The seed has been planted. If they continue to see the idea again and again unchallenged, the seed will grow and the person could very well gradually come to have the same opinion to some extent. Now, I know what you're thinking. There's no way you could just have your mind totally altered like that with fiction. But if you think about it, all of this is just marketing. You're just selling an idea instead of a product. Within marketing, or advertising if you want, a lot of research has been done to figure out how to change people's minds. Studies have been done on whether or not to make ads funny or smart or moving. Studies have been done on how to make people not just recognize your brand, but choose it over others. What time of day they should show you the ads, how long they should be, what the color palette should be. Should the actors be male or female, tall or short? You remember that scene in the Adjustment Bureau when he gave the speech about how they did focus groups on what color his tie should be and just how scuffed his shoes should be? All of that is very, very true. No expense has been spared on this. Ad companies move a lot of neurological and cognitive science, as I'm sure you can imagine. This data gets used by social media companies, mega corporations, politicians, and yes, people like Hollywood and the Big Five or 4 publishing houses. Two of the major aspects of changing minds that these studies kept turning up were attention and repetition. Something a lot of people don't realize is that repetition alone can lead to an increased sense of perceived validity, even if you know something is wrong. This study from 2002 talks about this at length. Repetition can also prime people to believe false information. News headlines that are seen only once are more likely to be believed if they are true, but news headlines that are seen multiple times are more likely to be believed irrespective of their accuracy. That is, a repeated message becomes increasingly plausible each time around, even if people initially believed it to be false. This is a phenomenon called the illusory truth effect. A study on this phenomenon from 1996 indicated that its effect can last for months, even after the repetitions have ceased. It also showed
So it's basically like reshoving the same answer to you over and over and over again until you actually think that it's actually true. Basically, it's kind of like it's not. I wouldn't say it's like fake it to you, but not like fake it to your belief. Not like fake it to your make it type shit. But it's like you get you. It's like yeah. It's like yeah. It's like getting brainwashed. So it's like basically getting brainwashed to a point where you actually end up believing shit. It's like a cult behavior.
How this repetition was a key factor in a thing's perceived truth. Even true things were perceived as less true or valid if seen only once, while untrue things only increased in perceived truth and validity as the repetitions continued. Several experiments around illusory truth found that the effects were present whether the information was auditory or visual or both or first one and then the other. It didn't really seem to matter. The point of all this is that it is a simple fact that the more often you hear something, even if it's false, even if you're aware that it's false, the more likely you are to start perceiving it to be true. Given that the human mind is incapable of processing all data all the time at full capacity, attention is another major factor. Attentional capture uses novelty, emotional manipulation, or other things such as shock or confusion to capture the attention of the audience. The study points out that attentional capture doesn't work by illuminating what the writer wants to draw your attention to, but rather the mind actually suppresses everything else for a time. Your brain actually prevents you from seeing or even remembering anything else. It's a cognitive reality that even under the best circumstances, the human mind has limited attention. People who are trying to get you to pay attention to one specific thing, think of a magician for instance, know how to overwhelm your attention while keeping your focus where they want it. Propagandists are also good at this. So are writers. Now think of our present era when social media has brought the attention of the average person to an all-time low. It would be effortless, child's play actually, to intentionally capture someone with carefully written words or carefully presented images in order to lead them around by the nose to precisely the thought or idea you want them to have. You do not have to be an evil genius to do this. It isn't even always evil to do it. Storytelling, like magic, is all about guiding the focus of the audience. Storytellers who want to make their audiences think will try to guide them to a specific question. Storytellers who want to control what their audiences think will simply guide them to a specific answer. And given the fact that repetition creates that false sense of validity, if you do this enough times, you can actually change a person's mind without them even knowing that you're doing it. How many times? I don't know, but when you sit down to binge watch Netflix, how many episodes do you watch in one sitting? How many romantasy books do some of those book talk girlies read in 1 month? Now, let's take everything we've talked about in this section and return to the idea that we all know the difference between fiction and reality. Even if you do, how do you know for sure that some of your perceptions haven't been altered subtly over time? Let's use an extreme example. Let's say our hypothetical reader likes the smut genre, in which an adult brother and sister get together. Now, we all know that that is wrong, and our hypothetical reader will probably agree. But let's say this reader really likes this genre. You know, it's dangerous, it's forbidden, it's spicy. There's that strong allure there. Within these books, the characters present arguments for why what they're doing isn't wrong. And as we all know, a lot of these books are written for comfort, not conflict, so there won't be many counter-arguments presented in the narrative, at least not convincingly presented. Instead, our hero and heroine will be shown to be persecuted and shamed, and this will make them sad, which will make our hypothetical reader feel empathy for them, I guess. Which will make our hypothetical reader angry or sad and remember what we talked about, that the human mind is more likely to believe something if they are already in a heightened emotional state of mind. So when the hypothetical reader gets angry at the way the hero and heroine are treated in the book, and then after that, the book presents this lovely, healthy relationship as super sweet and harmless and really, really, sexy, well, sure, our reader knows the difference between fiction and reality and between fantasy and reality, but what if he or she is on book number 19 or 32? Data has shown that minds start to change around repetition number 4. What if our hypothetical reader hasn't spoken about these tastes to anyone who might think it weird, you know, in order to get that corrective feedback that studies have shown is so crucial to correcting this effect? Over time, the perception of truth will shift. Our reader might not even realize it, but then one day he or she will look up, and if you were to ask this person, hey, so John and Rhonda, who are brother and sister, are actually sleeping together, thoughts? This person might say, what's wrong with that? In my video about writing education, I talked about trigger words, or if you'd like, generative words. Let's say our hypothetical reader was trained to read and analyze text with this method throughout school. This person has learned to be emotionally triggered by certain ideas presented with words. These words can and often do include prejudice, oppression, intolerance, and so on. Writers of these types of books, especially if they are skilled readers, but even if they're not, provided they've received the same training, will pepper the text with these.
Okay, maybe we can put something else. Okay. I want to do something. I have a video. Let's do it on BCP, and then after that, we're gonna do our the fanfic part of the stream. So let's finish up this one, and then we're gonna do the other
media sugarcoats how people really feel about these Democrat governors. But then again,
Producers, this plugin helps you finish your tracks way faster. Check this out. I'm gonna start with this loop that I made here.
Maryland Governor Wes Moore booed today ahead of the season opener for the Baltimore Orioles. The Democratic governor is also facing separate criticism tonight as the state marks 2 years since the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse in Baltimore. Tonight, Maryland officials are highlighting the rebuilding effort, but critics say the timeline is far too slow and the cost is far too high. Correspondent Griff Jenkins is in Baltimore tonight.
I plan on being the governor who cuts the ribbon and brings that first vehicle across that bridge.
2 years after the worst bridge collapse in Maryland's history that claimed the lives of 6 construction workers and paralyzed the port of Baltimore, Governor Wes Moore is optimistic of progress.
This still continues to be the fastest moving major project in the country.
But ballooning costs and massive delays are hampering the effort. Once projected at just under $2 billion with a completion date of 2028, the Key Bridge rebuild is now expected to cost more than double and won't open till 2030.
Gee,
So we talk about a pretty thing that keeps happening to Democrats across the country. Okay, Democrats are getting booed during the opening day of maybe baseball game. Okay, and then we got to talk about a couple of different situations. The first situation to talk about features woke Boston and woke Democratic governor of Massachusetts, Maura Healey, who both actually booed at the Red Sox opening. And I want you guys to listen to how loud the boo. I mean, let's get into it.
Welcome, Healy, Air Woo.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Those was pretty loud boos, right? I mean, it was like, boo! Like, I hear cheers, I hear applause, I hear, here's other, right? Oh, boo. No! Wow. Wow. Because that's hilarious. I mean, that brings up the Democrats at this point. Okay, so it should be no surprise that you're seeing Democrats at these games. I mean, generally speaking, I feel like baseball fans are pretty conservative leaning when it comes to their political viewpoint. So this should not be surprising. But again, remember, the Democrat Party as a whole is pretty unpopular.
Oh, no, not at all, at least when it comes to New York State Democrats. I mean, he's just atrociously double Democrats here. I mean, just take Dems' priorities. Look at this. Overall, 74%, nearly 3 4 no, just 25% overall. You might say, okay, well, at least Dems like not the case. Look at this. The majority of Democrats are independent. 5% say no, congressional Democrats have priorities. And they just see a minority, 55% of Democrats say no, Democrats have the right priorities. This, to me, just jumps out at the screen because it screams primary challenges all over the map. And it says that even if Democrats don't like Donald Trump, they don't like their own party either when it comes to Congress. And overall,
yeah,
I mean,
because what's going they're basically they're the minority, but they're the loudest. And damn near the most, damn near near powerful. Cause you had all these leaders like Zom, McDonough, all that shit. Fucking basically advocating for socialism and communism, all that shit. So they're still a small minority, but they're getting more powerful each and every fucking city election.
That's gracious. So this is sort of like Democrat on Democrat crime here. What's overall approval among Democrats of their leaders?
Yeah, okay. So, you know, you'd speak about Democrat on Democrat crime, and I want to know how unusual what we're seeing right now about how Democrats feel about Democrats in Congress is. Take a look at this. This is a trend line going back through the years, midterm elections in which there's a GOP president. Look at this. In 2006, Dems' net approval of congressional Democratic leaders was plus 28. You go back to the last midterm, look at that, plus 19. Very much on the positive side. The bottom has fallen out. The bottom has fallen out. Minus 4 points. That is Democrats. Democrats' own net approval of their own congressional leaders. Even Democrats don't like their own leaders when it comes to Congress. And overall, of course, the numbers are just absolutely awful. So
yeah, because a Democrat in 2006 is not the same as a Democrat in 2026. If anything, a Democrat in the 2006 would be more fucking damn near center right, or even the actual center.
On Democrat crime, absolutely. This to me screams again primary challenges across the map, and it screams to me, hey, when it comes to those next leadership elections, maybe something might be cooking.
Yeah. So the Democrat Party is a sinking ship that is only being kept afloat by Trump derangement at this point, right? Because, again, this is a phenomenon that is happening across the country. Like, for example, it happened out in Maryland. Governor Wes Moore, who Stephen A. likes because he's black, right? He also got booed during a Baltimore MLB game.
Governor Wes Moore was met with a chorus of boos during his opening day appearance at Camden Yards on Thursday. Fox 45 News spoke to some fans after the game about why they think some people aren't happy with the governor's performance.
He's not a very good governor. Taxes, we got to pay taxes for everything.
I don't feel he works for me, no, but I don't speak for everybody.
Wow.
Recent polls show the governor's approval rating is slipping. A Gonzalez poll from January put it at 52%. That's a 12% drop from when that same poll shows a rating at 64%. The governor's rising 25% to 24%.
No, I think it's worse. Right? I feel like it has. Okay, I sugarcoat how people really feel about these Democrat governors. But then again, you have vote for these Democrats, how they keep getting reelected. The fact that overall, outside of the city, these Democrats are extremely unpopular, right? And that is unfortunately a lot of states like New York, like Massachusetts, like New Hampshire, maybe in a state like Baltimore, Maryland as well too. That Democrats only win because large liberals they have a hive mind and they all vote for these unpopular who may not be able to win if it was for these liberal cities. It's very fascinating to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, this people are too hard about him, even though he is somebody that is frequently mentioned as a potential candidate for the Democrats.
From the lost budget surplus and continued budget shortfalls to a statewide freeze, public school enrollment and skyrocketing energy prices, the state under Governor Moore's leadership also includes a launch of new and higher taxes, along with
IT services tax. Hey! Don't fucking touch man. Hey, bro, fuck off.
multiple new fees as a result of last year's budget.
Bro, look at all these taxes, man. It's funny how back in the day, Americans. They fought against the British because the British was taxing them heavily, and now look at that. We got the Americans doing this. We got these fuckheads doing the same fucking thing.
Also seen businesses packing up and leaving Maryland.
Baltimore Tea Party, throw a black ass in the water. Let's see if he swims.
From small mom and pop shops to much larger, notable losses that have taken jobs along with them. Earlier today, we heard from Delegate Matt Morgan on why he thinks the governor was met with boos from the crowd yesterday.
It wasn't a partisan crowd. These are just regular people attending a baseball game. And they want safe streets, lower costs, and a government that actually work. In my opinion, that was basically a slant poll that told you that Marylanders are fed up with the policies that are coming out of Annapolis and the Moore administration.
Yeah, so it sounds about right, right? It sounds about right in the sense that taxes are going up, fees are going up, surplus going down, right? So again, revenue is supposed to be going up, right? Because they're raising taxes. Okay, even though the revenue actually leaves the state. But you also have costs going up as a result. You have people leaving the state as a result. There's no budget surplus anymore, so he's spending money now that they don't got, okay? And it's a complete and total disaster, right? Complete and missing this action with, again, this typical Democrat leadership.
I think that we got to direct because it's not going too well.
Our team set out this week to get a poll. Think of Maryland. We met against Baltimore.
Do you believe the government's is to blame for some of the things that we're seeing?
Out of the 40% of surveyed Marylanders who disapprove Westmore's job, 24% who disapprove say it's because of dishonesty or personal second highest category behind racism.
Do you think that or is honest and trustworthy?
Not personally, but his track, I know. Because his track record.
A few reasons that survey is dishonest worthy include claiming he has turned a budget deficit into surplus, alleging Marylanders were getting an attack despite historical salary hike, and questions that remain unanswered.
So it's not about raised in Maryland, bro. The fact that he already tells you something that he's going to he's gonna like if he's gonna lie about where he was raised, bro. He's gonna lie about anything.
His military, academic, and athletic records.
Do you think that the governor is trustworthy and honest with some of his intentions and some of the things he says?
Some stuff, yeah, I would say he being honest, and some stuff not.
Well, I would say, I understand, Boogate.
Not directly addressing why he was booed on opening day at Camden Yards, dubbing it a conspiracy that's a one-off, is yet another example.
there's a reason why we still, and I still am one of the most popular governors in the country, because I think people continue to believe in the work that we're doing.
They are booing his policies that affect us in a devastating way.
Baltimore Pastor PM Smith addressed the boos and the governor's response on Fox 45 News on Tuesday.
Number one, he has a history of pathological, it might be pathological, mistakes in memory and recall. He lies.
Yeah, he a liar, right? He is a liar. When a pastor is calling you out for lying, right? It's a problem, especially if you're a black pastor. You got problems, right? You got some big issues. So yeah, this is across the country. My governors are being booed. I just think liberal city would do more than to boo, right? The liberal city.
Yeah, because also him are the minority because you have these still liberals. Because again, anyone has an R next to their name is automatically a bad guy. So they'll just say, yeah, I don't want to vote for him because he could. I don't want to vote for this person because this person got the R next to the name instead of the D.
Vote these Democrats out of office, but regardless, it really shows you that
I'm back. So I have to go brush my teeth. So I'm back, guys. I have to brush my teeth. I have to. I went to go brush my teeth. So yeah. I'm back. All right. Well, this video's almost done anyway. So I'm gonna next video.
They are when they're not satisfied with tax increases, Democrat policy goals, all of the things that the Democrat Party believes in, right? The stuff that is the bread and butter of their party policies, those key policies, people are clearly not happy with, and that is what you're seeing here. So let me just think, like, kind of ends black sort of
Producers, this plugin is ensure the stuff that's made here. And use
No mail-in ballots, corrupt mail-in ballots. We're the only country in the world that does it that way, corrupt as hell. We're the only country that does mail-in voting. Mail-in voting means mail-in cheating. I call it mail-in cheating. That's what they're good at. They're professional cheaters. No mail-in ballots, right? We don't want to have mail-in ballots where they're mailed in from all parts of the place. Mail-in ballots are crooked as hell. Mail-in ballots make it automatically corrupt. If you have mail-in ballots, automatically it's correct. The cheating is legendary, terrible what's going on. And very clearly covered, very, very clearly so. I think this will help elections.
Hi, everybody. I can't wait for wondering. Trump is able to quote things in when he's briefed. It's now back in New York. Relativity suggests faster travel, but you actually never know that today. Observing the sheer speed with which democrats are muster their legal might, setting speed records on the way to travel across the country. Donald Trump's latest, perhaps most egregious, least authorized attempt to assert control over America's system of elections. It has to do with what you just heard over the course of many months after complaining of it for years. That is mail-in voting. Essential arm of what's been the safest, most secure, used to be regulated way voted in Democratic elections our planet ever known.
Wait. So to talk about the Democrats scrambling to once again start Trump is against the Democratic chess move against, so to speak. When it comes to mail-in, now if you listen to Democrats, you would think that President Trump, that is titled, quote, ensuring citizenship verification and federal elections, you would think that the president will together via executive order. That's not what he's actually doing. Okay, what he's doing is that he's attempting to blue states to send ballots or to vote each state's list. So that we have citizenship list. So basically, hey, the people who really have citizenship in this country. Again, it's common sense stuff, okay? It's the Secretary of Homeland Security Administration to compile and transmit to each state a state list of U.S. citizens who will be older at the next election. Yeah, so it says a list of individuals who actually have citizenship and that, yes, can only send absentee ballots to voters on each citizen. Again, it requires mail barcode tracking states and localities not at risk of losing funds. So it's common sense, and because it's common sense when it comes to now, one problem is you steal by making Democrats can't do
I forgot to change the scene. Oh crap, my bad. No, I didn't. It's here. Probably my computer some shit, cause it's not. It's here. The scene's here. Okay, so it's probably just my computer. Probably YouTube, because my computer
scrambling
says
so hard that they got Kamala Harris, right? Kamala Harris put out a SOS video, right? A video complaining about the latest executive order to protect our elections from the president. Take a look.
Hey everybody, so this week Donald Trump basically issued an executive order to attack your ability to vote by mail. And of course, the reality is that he goes down to his resort at Mar-a-Lago and does what? He votes by mail. So he wants to be able to do it, but he doesn't want you to. Why do you think that is? Because he is afraid of your power, and he is afraid of losing the midterms. And you know, this is not new. It's part of a playbook that they've been running for decades, whether it was the poll tax, what they're trying to do around voter rolls, and then what they're doing to basically play a shell game and change polling stations. So where your parents, your grandparents always voted.
It's so funny how like she just appears like every now and then. You barely see her ass until later on, bro.
Might turn up on election day, then it's actually been closed or they've moved it to a different location. So bottom line, check your voter registration status. Ask your family members, your friends to do the same.
Charge in this lawsuit, which won other states. Fox 5's Victoria Saw shares what's mean for voters.
Nevada Attorney General Aaron Ford and Secretary of State Cisco Aguilar say the elections should be run by state and there's no room for them to step and make new rules.
Okay, so I feel very proud of you.
Earlier this week, President Trump signed an executive order aimed at creating a nationwide list of verified eligible voters and restrict mailing.
I don't have any challenge.
Nevada leaders are challenging it. Attorney General Aaron Ford and Secretary of State Cisco Aguilar say the president stepping in to change voting rules is unconstitutional.
The notion that the federal government must be involved in states' electoral processes is direct attack on the president's constitutional right.
The executive order puts the Department of Homeland Security in charge of building a voter list. It would also allow the U.S. Postal Service from sending a ballot to anyone not on a state's approved voter list. President Trump says it's about integrity. With an election year in full swing, Nevada is leading this lawsuit with 21 other states.
Imagine being in the Super Bowl or the World Series playoffs, and you're in a playoff game, and you play a playoff game under one set of rules. And all of a sudden you make it to the championship, or you make it to the Super Bowl or the World Series. All the rules are different.
Trump threatened consequences if they comply with order.
The president said that states who don't comply with this, he's threatening to federal funding. Do you think he's bluffing? If not, do you write that on?
Something in the state of where this is an unfunded mandate of local governments.
Another topic in this is Governor Lombardo step in to side with AG Ford and Secretary of State. The governor is in his own this statement. It said in part, Governor believes elections should be run as state, but supports common sense reforms to Nevada law that strengthen the integrity of our elections. You can read the full statement on our website, fox.com.
Yeah. So just for the Attorney General of Nevada is a
No,
so
sorry.
this what
I think Nevada will state. So it kind of goes back and forth every now and then. But I guess no, yeah, I guess Nevada is a purple state right now.
All these Democrat attorney generals are scrambling to challenge President Trump's executive order. Now, the point of the executive order really is to put pressure on Republicans in Congress to actually do something on the SAVE Act, right? Which would require that these states got it to the Supreme Court, could open up the possibility of something being done about it. You're going to see. But it's the same with this, right? We can see how far he gets. And again, from a political perspective, it is something that, again, puts pressure on Republicans at the federal and state level to, do something about election integrity, to make this an issue. Okay? Right? I mean, it's not just the you talk about verified citizenship, but also just vote D in general, right? They're just opposed to it. And it just looks as if they just don't want any kind of checks, right, when it comes to their elections. They just don't. They just don't. So, ultimately in the day, I think the whole point of this executive order is to put pressure on Republicans and to expose Democrats. And once again, Democrats are doing what they always do, which is to show which side they're on 80-20 issues, which is against the American people, against common sense. I think that this is another example of that. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
Okay, so now we're gonna do the fanfic writing, but I am gonna do something real quick. Why does it look like that? Oh, it fixed itself. Alright, so we're gonna do the fanfic read. We're gonna do the fanfic writing now. This is where I'm basically gonna spend like an hour or two. I'll spend like an hour.
Discomfort, irritation, yeast, and UTIs. They also offer an optional add-on. What makes EVI stand out is, unlike most traditional tests that only check for a handful of things, EVI looks at the full picture.
Yeah.
And if you're eligible, a licensed clinician reviews your results with your symptoms and history.
Okay.
And they can create a personalized treatment plan based on what's actually going on.
Yeah.
For me, I enjoy knowing what's going on with my body without being left in the dark.
Yeah.
So if you want to check it out also, go to the link in my description and use code Janae Danielle 10 to get 10% off your first order up to $25. Thank you to EVI
All right,
for
we're back.
sponsoring
Let's
today's
lock in.
video.
Let's lock in.
See, here's why Houston is important. Because the city was already doing a lot before the more disturbing part of the conversation hit the timeline. For some reason, people wanted to be in Houston for spring break instead of the usual Florida. And with the Houston rodeo happening around the same time, it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, I heard about the Houston rodeo. I think it's the biggest rodeo in the world at this point. I think over the course of like the 15 to 20 days that they have the rodeo, there's like 2 million people coming there. So not only do you have the population from the Houston rodeo, the 2 million fluctuating in and out, but then you also have this probably another 1 million to 2 million that are flooding into Houston to try to get into overpriced clubs.
Well, maybe not so perfectly.
We told y'all not to come to Houston. Like, we told y'all. The ones who actually live out here, we told y'all not to come.
To get in a club that's charging you $600 at the door.
Holy
So they
$600 at the door. And you wonder why the prices in this country will never go down, because for every person who decides they're going to fight the machine and live a frugal life so that they can starve these companies and businesses that don't deserve our hardworking money because they overcharge us and price gouge us, there's like 3 people who don't care about prices at all, who are willing to make impulsive decisions just for the illusion of potentially having fun, because you can't tell me that a lot of these people have fun. I mean, best case scenario is you achieve the goal that you came to Houston for during spring break, and now you have to worry about if that cough that you have is like a cold or the beginning of the end.
And they not letting nobody is saying,
That's
and they
best
over here
case.
still trying to charge people $200 to $600 to get in here.
That's crazy.
In line, y'all. Like, this shit is fucking crazy as fuck.
This is
Literal hell.
messy, but the story definitely gets a lot more disturbing as we move on. But first, we need to start with the warning signs Houston was already giving off. One of the first being the very
I'm walking around the rodeo, and I'm thinking to myself, the rodeo then became the bootio.
Wait. Does this brother have his hat on backwards? Like I'm in DFW. I'm in the DFW area, so Dallas Fort Worth area. Is this a trend or something? I've never seen anybody wear their hat backwards. I think this brother might have his hat on backwards.
I done seen so many women walking around here as cowgirls wearing booty
I could be
shorts,
wrong though.
shorts all the way up to their booty, cheeks, shorts, whatever you want to call them. And I'm like, damn, is we at the strip club or is we at the rodeo? You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of online discourse about the Houston Rodeo, an event that many families are attending. At this point, y'all know my opinions are very strong when it comes to inappropriate outfits at family and kid-friendly places.
It's weird. It's
and
weird.
the revealing outfits in this space resulted in a lot of reactions.
Maybe I'm more conservative than I thought I was, because the videos and pictures I've seen from the rodeo this year of people using ass cheeks
Yeah, it's crazy.
as an accessory
It's crazy.
have appalled and disgusted me. I'm going to a Cardi B concert. I expect to see cheeks.
Yeah.
I'm going to a Mardi Gras parade. I expect to see cheeks.
But I'll say this, bro. I actually don't expect to see it ever. Like, there's no reality where your bare ass being out is going to be stylish or tasteful. There's just no reality where that's the case, unless maybe you're at a beach. You can get away with it at a beach in a bikini. But outside of that, anytime you're in a public environment and there's no water around, your bare cheeks should never be exposed. I don't think it's stylish. I don't care how many girls you see that have large followings doing it on Instagram. It just doesn't look good to me, and you look desperate for attention. Like, they'll say women who have certain beliefs about how you should be modest are pick-me women. But I'm like, if you're so desperate for attention that you're literally outside with your booty cheeks showing, you seem like more of a pick-me than any of those women will ever be. You're damn near screaming for attention.
Is founded and exists to fund children's education. I shouldn't see your cheeks.
Yeah.
It's kids out here. Like, put y'all butts up. We don't want to see y'all butts. Say the butts for the club. This is a family event. Let's keep it family kid friendly. Put y'all butts up.
Super short skirts.
Like, look, bro, look at this, bro. And I know it's plastic seats at the Houston Rodeo. So you're going to peel your bare ass off of that plastic seat. There's no way you're going to convince me that this is comfortable. I'm just doing it for me. There's no way you're going to convince me that you're comfortable with this amount of breeze. Just one time I gained a little bit too much weight. I bent over to grab something, and there was a little bit of breeze back there, and I said, oh, no, I got to lose weight now. Because that little bit of breeze made me uncomfortable. It's no way your whole bare butt is out and you're comfortable in public like that. There's just simply no way. Like, a brother sit too long, bro, and sometimes, even if you freshened up before you went to an event, you can end up a little bit swampy. So there's no way your booty cheeks, in Houston, by the way, aren't sweaty and you're not peeling your bare ass off of that seat, bro. That's disgusting.
Shorts, a lot of them just
Come on now.
Straight cheeks. And a lot of you are probably thinking, Janae, this is a rodeo. Of course there's going to be some country bumpkins showing a little bit of pumpkin. At least that's what some people would argue.
I couldn't imagine being so bored that I would actually care at all about what somebody else wears to the rodeo. I couldn't imagine giving a single solitary like, I went to the rodeo a couple days ago and I don't remember what nobody had on.
And okay.
So it's just wrong to have like social standards when we all have to share society together and we have kids in it. It's just, you should never have any social standards according to this lady.
But there's a teeny piece of this puzzle missing. Mind you, this whole event was designed to raise money for kids, meaning the setting mattered.
It's not that there are children around, it's that the rodeo is for children.
Right.
It is quite literally for the children. And the mission of the Houston Rodeo is to raise money for the youth. When these adult women, because let's face it, that's where the issue is.
Yeah.
When they're not covering their lower extremities, that is face level for many children.
Are you is going to the rodeo or the adult video awards? Because the way y'all dress, I can't tell if y'all going to the rodeo to ride horses or ride. You do know children
He crashed it out.
are going to be there, right?
He's crashing out.
But I forgot. Who the cares about children, right?
And since the setting full of kids mattered so much, Houston Rodeo issued a dress code.
Good.
And no, they didn't wait for next year to roll around. They say y'all gonna cover up effective immediately.
Welcome and thank you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. We begin with breaking news and a Factor exclusive. The Houston Rodeo is announcing here on The Factor, they're tightening up a dress code that aims at addressing what you all have been talking about. Clothes worn by some that pushes the envelope of decency off the damn desk.
And I can't wait for some screaming lady to say that somehow saying that your bare butt cheeks can't be out is sexist against women. I know it's coming. I know it's coming somewhere. We'll see if it happens. Anytime there's rules put into place to say, hey, you cannot show up here naked,
all of a sudden, like, you're a part of the oppressive patriarchy.
But that was just the first downfall of Houston spring break. Once we got past the outfits, the whole thing started looking way more out of control. Y'all know when people gather in large groups and it's crowded, hot, and everybody start bumping
Look
shoulders.
at that, bro. They're all at the pool party. Nobody's in the damn pool. All at the pool party. Nobody's in the damn pool. Everybody's so cool that they go to the pool party and don't even get in the damn pool. Egregious word.
And it's crowded, hot, and everybody start bumping shoulders. That is bound to create an environment of chaos, fights, and people acting like they don't know how to act in public.
Oh, the ghetto.
Yeah, go and pack him up.
The ghetto.
Pack him up.
The ghetto.
We're being exported by the police because there was just a stampede at the Houston Rodeo. So many fights breaking out.
Crazy.
I got injured.
Well, breaking from overnight, the rodeo turned rowdy and rambunctious after people started running near the carnival area.
Yeah, some scary moments, and it prompted the Houston Rodeo and Livestock Show officials to shut down the carnival rides early.
From the stampedes to the fights and just the overall recklessness of it all, it led to a lot of people not wanting any parts of whatever kind of fun this is.
And you know what's crazy? Is there's just a group of people that see this and they go, next year, I can't wait to go. Like, for most rational people, you see this, you see the increase of prices, you see the fact that everything is so packed, you can never even get to the event that you want to get to in the first place. And there's somebody going, next year, I can't wait to spend all of my money and going to debt just so I can go.
Take y'all, and she got her ass out. Man, take y'all ass home, dog. Like, bro, for real, I'm trying to go home and y'all all in the goddamn road. Y'all just out here looking goofy.
Man, when I tell you I'm so glad I didn't go to Houston for spring break because I'm seeing everybody getting scammed, people getting maced, and then on top of that, I'm seeing people having sex in the car. This is too much.
But
I was in Houston and I went to a place, it was a bunch of content creators, right? So I got invited to go to Houston. Me and my wife went down to Houston and we got invited to this club. I believe it's called like Camp. Supposedly it's like one of those clubs that like a bunch of celebrities go to and stuff like that, but I think it's called Camp or something like that. All the Houston people could probably let me know if y'all know what I'm talking about. But there was this massive parking lot, like what you would consider to be like, you know how TJ Maxx, they always have like those districts where it's like TJ Maxx and like Burleson, so it's like a bunch of parking space. There was an open parking lot like that across the street from this club, and we parked in that parking lot. And we got out of the car, and some people came up to us with like card scanners and were basically telling us like it was $20 to park. As I was about to pay for the parking, people were walking by telling me, don't pay for the parking because these guys are scammers. A great scam, by the way, because I seen them get other people. But the fact that they just needed a utility vest and a card scanner and they were convincing people to get them $20 a pop to park into free parking, yeah, it's a lot of scams going on over there, for sure.
All of that
almost
was
got me.
still not the part of the story that made people the most uncomfortable. Y'all remember earlier when that dude from the past said,
people come down here because it's crowded and sexual.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't.
And the crowd makes you not feel as bad about the sexual things that you do, especially because you can say other people are doing the same thing.
2026 Houston spring break just made it a bit more modern.
Hey man, if y'all went to Houston for spring break and you're currently trying to come back home because spring break is over, don't.
Yeah, stay there.
Don't you dare come home with that. The kind of videos that I've seen from just spring break in Houston, boy, y'all was out there. It was like an all-white party. I think it was hosted by like DJ Envy, and you would have thought it was 1999 in that motherfucker. They was in there wilding, tweaking, geeking.
Now, we're not going to be too prudish here, okay? We could say the sexcapades that happen over spring break are just bound to happen.
Right.
And no, I'm not endorsing it, but we know it's nothing new. What puts it in a different terrain is how normalized keeping track of everything and every angle has become.
I've seen the people in that car. In Houston, you mean to tell me you're in the car light on and everything.
Yeah,
windows are all the way down. Like, I'm not talking about like just a little bit where you can see like the top of a person's head. No, all the way down. You can see everything. And then, not only that, I've seen other videos. Where is the respect gone? What is going on?
Yeah, well, it's a freak apocalypse out here, right? Like, this is freaky on a biblical scale. Like, God punishes places that are this freaky. Send the media. No, but to be serious though, it's like, yeah, like people will judge people like Diddy for having these all-white parties and judge people for going to these all-white parties. And when you look at even regular people who don't have the money and the influence that people like Diddy had, they indulge in the same type of behavior. Yet they'll be the first ones to try to judge people who have the resources to do this stuff and say that it's wrong. It's like you get a spring break going and you see how many people that would willingly indulge in that type of stuff. Like, people will judge people like Diddy for indulging in this type of stuff. But I know people personally that if they had a little bit more money and influence, they'd be doing the same thing.
We want to be honest.
This is
that
just proof
sounds
of it.
like a case of intoxicated, maybe unstable people that just wanted a show. You nasty.
Oh, you nasty.
And everyone knows spring break can get wild, but no one was expecting to have 4K footage of it. But there's multiple stories of multiple videos of multiple cases with multiple people just doing it all over Houston in the name of spring break.
Y'all not doing spring break right. Like, it's literally giving fest. Like, for real, it's giving fest. What is going on?
All the sexcapades and all the people who happened to witness this started speaking out, and let's just say their opinions weren't very quiet.
And good Lord, this generation got some of the proudest whores I've ever seen in my life. Y'all don't give a damn.
And I need to say this, no one should be pointing fingers at the women without pointing fingers at the men too. But
No, you can't point fingers at the women because, sexually women are just held to a higher standard, not only socially but also biologically, because women run the risk of pregnancy. Yeah, so I know we're going to do the whole men and women equal with the sex thing, but women are the gatekeepers of sex. And there's a reason why men flock to these type of environments, because they know it attracts irresponsible, impulsive women who are probably also under the influence of drugs and alcohol. And generally speaking, those are the most promiscuous women. And so, the standards are not only socially different, but biologically, because the consequences are different. There is just a different standard. We could try to act like that doesn't exist, but you're actually retarded if you try to act like that doesn't exist.
that standard just being basic self-respect for ourselves.
And see, nobody's teaching the females how to be young ladies no more. Cause y'all out in Houston doing what? A man ain't got nothing that good that's worth you being outside in the public degrading yourself as a woman for. Man ain't got, I promise you a man ain't got nothing that good. I think it's just more so of being reminded that nobody's teaching the girls how to be young ladies no more. See, we can't even get to clowning the men and talking about the men when the self-respect isn't even in the room with us.
Nevertheless, since we live in the day and age where those wild activities don't just become some distant memory or that one wild spring break story that stays in the group chat forever, now everything is content, and that content eventually spreads and becomes a trend. And usually in the most humiliating way possible.
And if y'all was gonna be getting in Houston while y'all got a back out home, the least you could have did was leave after you got now your on the internet looking like a goofy. And there's multiple videos going around like that. Talk about
any man that let his girlfriend go to Houston for spring break doesn't even love his girlfriend. If you let your girl go out to Houston and you in a relationship with her, you were asking for it. I mean, she probably wasn't going out there to play checkers.
Houston, oh my God.
Hashtag first night in Houston quickly spread online, and I do want to disclaim, while some of these videos may be staged for clout, the reactions to them became very real. That being said, in these videos, people aren't just having flings, they're recording or recreating the morning after. Almost like showing off the reward or trophy they got to end the night with.
Not y'all getting caught in Houston in beds that y'all just met at the club the night prior.
Yeah, the craziest part is I see more people criticizing the post than they are criticizing the people for the behavior. And I think both are wrong, but both need criticism. Like on the female side, I'm seeing a lot of women say, like, you know how that you just seen that comment saying we're in the kiss and tell era. Well, you shouldn't have been kissing nobody that you don't know in the first place. When you're doing sexual things with random people, you're gonna run into people who don't look at things the same way as you and that don't value you, so they don't care about putting you all over social media. This is why you don't indulge sexually with people you don't know, random strangers.
Toe up, drunk up, then y'all spending the night. You don't never spend a night at the house you just met the night before. Then you over there slumped up. You so damn knocked out. You can't even feel him recording your looking like a goofy bitch.
And this is where it started to spiral because now they're turning the comments into Yelp. Real or not, one of these instances even led to one of the women being recognized and getting reviewed in the comments.
Oh, no.
This video has 13 million views, 1.8 million likes, and just a few of the comments read. I can't lie, she gets a 10 out of 10. She went crazy.
Dang.
And
Damn.
best I ever had on my roster, and he got my old eater. I'm not even gonna try to think about what that means. This whole
know what that means.
proves two things. One being a lot more dangerous than the other, but we need to start with the small before we get to the big. One is that a lot of men still haven't outgrown the need to let everybody know they got laid.
One thing that these Houston videos of recording girls while they sleeping in the bed and like that is showing to me, these just don't know when to shut the up. They don't know how to keep things confidential, and they don't know how to keep player.
Yeah, I agree, but also the women don't know when to close their legs. Like, none of this is really surprising to me. Like, I've seen this dude on an Instagram reel really break this down about, like, Gen Z, and he said there are 18 million women from the age of 18 to 25 in America. He said there are 1.8 million women on OF from the age of 18 to 25 in America. So for women that are between the age of 18 and 25, about 10% of them are on OF or involved in OF in some type of way. So if that many people are willing to like display it online for money, imagine the amount of people who are willing to do it for free if they feel like they can avoid the consequences of it or avoid the digital footprint that comes with it. Like if 10% are willingly putting it online, then the number that are doing it has to be through the roof.
Go on a trip, you might pop something the first night or whatever case may be. You keep that on the low, or you might tell your immediate circle or whatever case may be. But now these want the world to know, hey, I'm in Houston for a weekend getting me some coke note. And I want everybody to know.
It's a tale as old as time, kissing and telling. It's just now. It's on the internet forever. And now you're getting treated like a product review or like a scandal that will follow you right back home.
Hey, this is your girl right here, dude? Somebody gotta get in the truck. This is your girl?
Oh, no.
Is that her? No. It is.
Now, the second thing this trend proves is that not every souvenir you bring back from Houston is something you'd want to keep.
Roughly 3 million people went out to Houston for spring break. A bunch of those people had unprotected sex. A bunch of those people contracted HIV, chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis.
Rates of increase, 79%. 32%, 17%. The dildo of consequences never comes with lube. Everybody went out there thinking what happens in Houston stays in Houston, but the dildo of consequence never comes with lube.
Syphilis rates are up 79%. A bunch of those people will go home thinking that they got out safe. They're clean. They will think that for months or even years. They won't get tested thinking that they have nothing.
We discussed Houston spring break not being any different from spring break years ago. People party, they drink, they sleep around and try to forget the night before. But here's where Houston feels different. Houston has become a hotspot for morning after consequences. Let's let a nurse that has seen it firsthand break it down for us.
In honor of spring break and all y'all going to Houston, I'm going to tell y'all what the STD rate has been from 2025 to 2026 in case you decided to go out there and hunch. Okay, syphilis has surged all the way up to 79% in the year 2025 leading into 2026. HIV has surged and increased in 17%. Gonorrhea, chlamydia has surged 32%. And the ages are from 15 to 24 years old with that. Yeah, so if you...
From 15 to 24 years old? That's insane. From 15? That is absolute madness. And I'm not saying most people aren't active by that age, but I'm saying like you're so active that you go in for STD tests. And I don't know if it was just me when I grew up, but I was just like, this is something that I was just afraid of, right? They told us, and I don't know if it's 100% true, but they told us it's not only the person you sleep with, it's the person that this all the people that they've slept with, and then all the people that they've slept with, and then all the people that they've slept with. And so if you sleeping with 10, 15 people in your lifetime, bro, the risk of this is just going up.
To Houston for spring break. I hope you didn't hunch nobody out there.
This is where the conversation gets a lot darker. People are coming online stating that thousands of people may be affected, infected from the spring break festivities. Remember when I said that around this mark, you may want to put the snack away?
That shit on your lip got some shit on its lip. Count me out. At this point, everybody that went to Houston together probably ain't friends no more. People was humping everywhere. Humping on cars, humping in bathrooms. It didn't matter. You might as well just call this the last hump. Because I guaranteed out of those 40,000 motherfuckers that caught something, they ain't gonna want to hump no more.
Now that spring break...
Oh, they will. They still will want to, and they still will.
Has settled down, people are
Watch
starting
out.
to get a bit of clarity
Protect
on the
yourself at all
situation.
times.
They're starting to realize that maybe being shoulder to shoulder, breathing in people's faces, and sharing everything.
Sharing hookahs, sharing vapes, sharing bottles with people and you don't even know where their mouth been.
Wasn't the move.
PSA, y'all. If you do not want to get sick, I repeat, if you do not want to get sick, do not bring your ass to Houston. I know y'all know it's been hella TikToks. Everybody and their mama been in Houston. I think I got the flu. I'm having flu symptoms.
Yeah, you took the lesson. That's why.
The first step. I literally said it at the beginning. You get that cough and you start hoping that it's a cold. It could be a cold or the beginning of the end. You just never know.
I feel sick. I feel my bones are aching.
When people started putting the pieces together, meaning the wild sexcapades, the one-night stands with strangers, and then the first night in Houston trend, it all clicked that those were the layers a lot of people weren't thinking about.
Why y'all folks out there for spring break when y'all got some fat cold sores on y'all lips? Y'all motherfuckers out there sharing hookah, drinking out the same liquor, sharing cups, spreading that to the next
shaking
person.
Hands,
and
hugging,
then I'm seeing
kissing.
videos first night. These men is posting these women knocked out in bed with them. Like, what's going on, bro?
People started to tighten up. This installed some fear into them, as it should. No one wants to gamble their health. If you even stepped foot in Houston, we're gonna have to see that my chart.
After seeing that STD chart where HIV had the most cases, if you was in Houston, don't even worry about it, boo. Now before my homegirl asked for a sip of my drink, I gotta ask if she was in Houston, cause what?
If you don't know what a my chart is, it's basically a digital medical report. It shows your lab results, test history, blood work. It's basically the whole medical resume. Well, to be on the safe side, people are like, hey, let me see your chart before we get up close and personal, as they should. But you can imagine the uproar that happened once this information came out.
People are using AI to edit their my charts. This is not a joke anymore. These people knowingly have STDs and are using AI to edit their my charts so that they can trick people into sleeping with them.
If I knowingly have a STD and I still want to sleep around because that's what I did to get it in the first place, I'm not going to give up my vice. If I knowingly already have that going on, you think that editing the my chart is going to be my deal breaker? I'm committing to the lie. If I'm already committed, if I'm willing to poison other people because I got poisoned engaging in this behavior, the editing the my chart ain't going to be the make or break for me.
That is illegal. Especially Houston spring break. Check the real app. Don't fall for no random screenshot they send you, bro. It's getting wicked out here. People don't give a fuck about themselves, much less other people's health.
I don't even know about this problem. I don't have this problem.
Is getting, people are of course going to use it with deception in mind, but no one thought it would get to the point where people are editing their blood work just to get laid.
Now see, I didn't want to believe
what I just seen on TikTok. So you mean to tell me y'all editing y'all my charts? How do you edit a my chart? I'm scared of y'all.
At this point, every single first date needs to start at the clinic. Because what do you mean that y'all are editing your my chart results with AI to give you false negatives or buying other people's clean test results? Like, what are we actually doing? Does anybody care about their health?
Now there's complete chaos online. People discussing the rising STD rates, people freaking out about it. But in true internet fashion, not everyone reads the room.
Hey, I'm trying to tell y'all right now, if we don't leave Houston with an STD, we ain't completely.
Everyone's coming to Houston for the livestock show
These are the cool kids.
and for spring break, and I already know what that means. Because what happens in Houston doesn't always stay in Houston.
We all know society, especially online, is very unserious. The world could be ending tomorrow and people would start making skits about it. But what happened in Houston isn't something you can just laugh off. Especially for the people who are in for a rude awakening once that incubation period passes.
Think just because you recording somebody and putting them on social media to let everybody know you slept with them, you thinking it's funny, but in about 3 months, for some of y'all, it ain't gonna be funny no more. Fun is you enjoying yourself. Y'all type of fun is dangerous.
Houston spring break is literally one for the books. From the rodeo, the shutdown, the one-night stand trends, and now the outbreaks. If this video didn't teach you anything, I hope it taught some of you that not everything is worth a story, and definitely not everything is worth the aftermath. I also wouldn't be surprised if this video taught one person to stay celibate. Thank you for tuning into the Girls.
See, the thing is, for me, it's some people are gonna leave with like these issues, but almost everybody is gonna leave with some type of debt, and I just think that that's insane. Stupid is as stupid does. Let me know in the comments below if this video is a WRL, and give me the HBO special. That's help brother out special. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. Till next time.
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus. And this is your brain when you're in the zone. But getting in the zone and staying there, that feels more like luck than something you can control. So that's why we made Brain FM. It's like a do not disturb setting for your mind, and it gets you focused in just 5 minutes. Using science and sound, Brain FM guides your brainwaves into an optimal state for productivity called
How we doing?
That's right. Happy 25th.
You gotta be kidding me. Did I see this? Is this another one?
That's right. Happy 25th birthday goes out to Case. Hope you have a great day at the Waffle House and keep eating them waffles. Love from Mom, Dad, and Grandma.
Yeah, I saw that one. How many times has this been done? Oh, man. Oh, man, what?
My son
You know, I don't really watch soccer, but yeah.
watches Case.
Noodle ever created, chat. If you want some noodles to get, you have to get these. I'm dead serious. They're a little spicy. Yo, Grizzly with the kids, I appreciate you, Grizzly. Chat, go to Walmart, pick some of these up. They are absolutely great. They'll change your life. They will change your life. Trust me.
The other one might be I sleep a lot, but it's because I have narcolepsy. So I
love
have an
that.
excuse.
Not exactly your choice, is it?
But it is kind of a flag because I've had friends or dates get frustrated.
Chad, isn't narcolepsy when your back is like out of line? Ban that guy. I don't know who that. Oh wait, Chinese foods! Oh my goodness, I was literally born for this. That being said, I have never had this in my life. And am I tripping or do I see some peanuts up in here? Is there peanuts in here? Because if so, I'm going 8. Yo, Key with the 5. W Key. Nah, you know what? I'm going 9. Could you imagine eating some chicken, you bite into a peanut? Alright, I'm going 10. Even worse. Yeah, I don't know what this is. Yo, Raging with the 5W, Raging. Now look here, Chad. I used to like dumplings, man. But the older I got, the more I started to dislike dumplings. Okay? And I know everybody in here is going to be glazing dumplings, but I don't think they're that good. That being said, I will throw dumplings at like 5, though. Okay? Man, I don't know. Yo, done with the 10. W, done with the 10. Appreciate you, done. 7? I'm gonna go 7. Excuse me, what? Lowest number I have. What is this? Lowest number I have. There we go. There we go. Number 2, buddy. 4. Chat, y'all over here literally acting like it's crazy. I don't know what a hot pot is. What is a hot pot? That's good. 3. #1, and it's not even close, buddy. Get out of Arkansas and eat real food. You realize they have Chinese food here, right? The naked lady is my Nana with the 5 gifted. Okay. It's not authentic. It literally is authentic. What would make it not authentic then? The people literally are from China that have the Chinese restaurants here. That's literally authentic. And they literally close up the store every few months and they're gone for like 2-3 months because they go back home for a few months and come back. What are you talking about? Oh, so I'm a liar and I'm capping for telling a literal real story? Dude, dude, what is wrong with y'all, man? Huh? Eat or pass? I'm passing on that. You can say cap if you want to, but I'm passing. Pass, that looks gross too. Wait, no it doesn't. I'm eating that. Never mind. What you talking about? Yeah, I'm eating that. Pass. Yeah, I don't want that. Pass. Eat. Not gonna lie. What? A box of Just Crust? Yo, I'm eating that, not gonna lie. Yeah, I'd eat that too. I'd eat that too. No. I don't mess with the peppermint action. I do like peppermints, but not like the peppermint chocolate. You know what I mean? It's not that good. I wouldn't eat this either. You can say cap if you want to, but I would not eat this. Appreciate you, McLovin, for the 5. No. Pass. No. Not gonna lie, yeah. Not gonna lie, yeah. Yeah, I would. I'd do that. I'd try that, yeah. Yeah, I would. Yep. Sorry. Yes, I would. Dude, please. I'd eat that too. Dude, come on, man. Bro! I'd eat that too. Dude, please. It's making me look bad. No, I wouldn't eat that. Yo, Reese's? Whoever edited this video literally just made y'all $10 billion. If you capitalize on this, you will literally be the most profitable company that ever existed. If you don't make some cheesecake Reese's cups, could you imagine? Fritos, chicken, and dumplings? I'd try that, not gonna lie. No. I'd eat that too. Yo, I'd eat that. Chad, I'd eat... I am the chosen one! I am him! I am him! Yo, this edit goes hard! I told you! Yo, this edit goes hard! I told you I'm not going... Yo, Jay-Z Scrubs with the gifted chat. Give me some W's for the gifters, please. Appreciate the gifters, y'all. Appreciate the gifters. Thank you. I'm an oil, chat! I love you, Case, but you remind me of Baron Silas Greenback? Is that a bad thing? Yo, Sweaty Booty Muncher. Appreciate the 5 gifted, sweaty. Okay, thank you. Wow. Can we get that guy banned out of here real quick? There's no way Twitch allowed you to create that name. What are we doing in here? Found case at a fancy restaurant. Why does this have so many likes? Why does this have 67,000 likes? Yo. The amount of likes that these TikTok comments get is actually insane. Queso was built like 2 chins. Your name is Epic Gamer Guy 213. Shut up. They just keep going forever. MVP equals Queso's. What are these songs, man?
Live off of Uncrustables for a week or live off of Hot Pockets for a week?
Hot Pockets.
There is so much more variety in Hot Pocket. You can eat Hot Pockets every day for a week straight and have a different one every single day. Like, period. I'm living off Hot Pockets for a week. That's not even close. Okay, to everybody saying Uncrustables, like, are you kidding?
Cold water or room temperature water?
Cold water.
If a single person in here says room temperature, I am shutting the stream off. Let's not do this.
Chocolate chip cookies or snickerdoodle cookies?
I don't know what this is, but I'm going chocolate chip.
Strawberry or chocolate milk?
Strawberry. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Chocolate milk is actually like beyond gross, by the way. It's like legitimately like not even like a choice of like what like even a choice. It's like I would rather drink somebody's urine than some chocolate because it's actually so bad. It's actually so bad. What?
Share this with your third at or share this with your first at.
Buddy, come on.
Chick-fil-A or McDonald's?
I mean, if you're looking for variety, it's going to be McDonald's. I mean, come on. If you go to Chick-fil-A, you're going to get one thing and one thing only. Chicken action. So I got to go red.
Chicken Alfredo or chicken Parmesan?
Chicken Alfredo. Even though chicken Alfredo is the worst style of Alfredo, I would rather eat chicken Alfredo than chicken Parmesan. Chicken Parmesan's actually disgusting. That might as well be somebody's turd laying on that spaghetti right there. Even though chicken Alfredo is very mid, because chicken does not belong in Alfredo because the textures do not mesh well, but I'll take the chicken Alfredo instead.
Apple?
Okay, guys. I think it's time to end this stream. I'm getting a little tired, so I'm gonna end the stream right here, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming. Tomorrow is going to be the Spider-Man 2 stream. And it's either Spider-Man 2 or it's gonna be we're gonna watch some of the first episodes of the new spring season of anime. So we'll see though. I'm gonna end right here. Thanks for coming. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm probably gonna be streaming either here or Twitch. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, thank you guys so much for coming. I'll see you guys later. And yeah, peace out.